All right, let's call this meeting to order. This is a Doraville City Council meeting being held on Wednesday, June 17th, 2026 at 6 p.m. I'd like to take this time to please remind everyone to silence their cell phones. Also, I want to remind everyone that Doraville is proud to be a city of civility. While differences of opinion are natural, let us approach each other with open mind, speak with courtesy, and treat one another with dignity and respect. Respect is the foundation of good governance, and we thank you for upholding the spirit of civility with us. I'll call the roll. Mayor Geierman, I'm here. Councilmember Simmons.
Here.
Councilmember Evans.
Here.
Councilmember Armistead.
Here.
Councilmember Henshaw.
Here.
Councilmember Ray.
Here.
And we're missing Councilmember Nasser right now, but hopefully he'll show up. All right, I'd like to ask everyone in the chamber to please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve tonight's meeting agenda?
I'll approve tonight's meeting agenda.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, so Councilmember Simmons made the motion. Councilmember Nasser seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Passes. All right. Well, we've got some proclamations this evening, so I'm going to come down to the podium really quick. And I'd like to ask Cameron Turner, board member of Lost and Found Youth, to join me. Cameron, thank you. All right. Well, I think a lot of you hopefully know that this is Pride Month. The whole month of June, and Doraville is proud to celebrate that. The city of Doraville is committed to fostering a community that values diversity, equity, inclusion, and respect for all people. Pride Month serves as an opportunity to affirm the dignity and worth of every resident and to promote understanding, acceptance, and equal opportunity throughout the community. Lost and Found Youth, based in Atlanta, Georgia, has dedicated itself to ending homelessness among LGBTQ youth by providing housing assistance, supportive services, educational resources, life skill development, and pathways to self-sufficiency. Through its compassionate leadership and unwavering commitment, Lost and Found Youth has positively impacted the lives of countless young people facing housing instability, discrimination, and other significant challenges. Cameron Turner, an Atlanta native, and is a transformational leader with deep commitment to empowering communities, particularly LGBTQ youth. Cameron experienced firsthand challenges with navigating identity in a conservative environment, hence creating his drive and passion for creating safe spaces and a critical resource for youth. The city of Doraville recognizes the importance of supporting organizations that create safe spaces, provide critical resources, and empower young people to thrive and reach their full potential. So now, therefore, I, Joseph Geierman, Mayor of the City of Doraville, Georgia, on behalf of the Doraville City Council, do hereby proclaim June 2026 as Pride Month in the City of Doraville and commend Lost and Found Youth for its outstanding service, advocacy, and dedication to supporting LGBTQ plus youth throughout the Atlanta community. Cameron, it's my honor to present this to you. And I think And Cameron, I'm gonna give you a chance to say a few words too, because I think that you know, Pride is a time to celebrate who we are, but I think it's also important to remember the struggles that a lot of people are going through and why it's so important that Lost and Found Youth exists. So the mic is yours.
I'll keep it brief. Y'all have a very packed agenda for the day. As was alluded to, growing up for me, I was homelessness is one of those things that I feared, right? And for many young people, it's an eventuality that comes as a result of them doing things like embracing who they are, being prideful, and taking that step to come out to their families at a young and vulnerable age. Lost and Found Youth is dedicated to making sure that people who experience this are cared for, and they're given the tools to succeed and survive. And we're based in Atlanta, but we are impacted, and we impact youth that come from this community and communities all around Atlanta. And so on behalf of Lost and Found Youth, I deeply want to thank you all for your support for this proclamation and for your attention in this moment. Thanks.
Thank you, Cameron. And just before we leave the Pride Month topic, I just want to say how proud I am of the city of Doraville. We were only the second city in the nation to pass a non-discrimination law back in I think it was 2018 at the trying to remember, like back in 2018. And I think this is a city that was willing to elect me, an openly gay man, and Steffi Kuntz, openly trans council member. So it means a lot that we have the support of the community, and thank you. That is also Immigrant Heritage Month. And if you have driven in Doraville over the past, I guess it's been a little over a month now, right? You have seen the beautiful Motors Industrial mural that Teresa Aboud painted, and also members of the community helped paint. It speaks to the diversity and many diverse backgrounds that make up the city of Doraville. Teresa, if you could join me, because, and I hope you've also noticed the other major transformation taking place right at the on-ramp off Buford Highway to 285, another really massive mural that is beautiful and that is going to live in our community for a long time. So we are honored to recognize Teresa Aboud during Immigrant Heritage Month. Immigrant Heritage Month is observed annually to recognize and celebrate the countless contributions of immigrants who enrich our communities through their culture, talents, innovation, and dedication. Teresa Aboud immigrated to the U.S. from Lebanon, brought with her a passion for art, storytelling, and cultural preservation that has positively impacted communities throughout the Atlanta metropolitan area. Teresa Aboud, artistically known as Teresa Afternoon, has created paintings, murals, prints, and public art installations that inspire connection, foster cultural appreciation, and beautify communities throughout Georgia, including the 2 murals on Motors Industrial Way in Doraville. Teresa has demonstrated outstanding leadership through her service as vice chair of the Aleph Institute, one of the region's leading Arab cultural institutions, and as a mentor in entrepreneurial development programs that empower emerging business owners and strengthen local communities. Her commitment to cultural exchange, community engagement, and artistic expression exemplifies the spirit of Immigrant Heritage Month and serves as an inspiration to all residents of all backgrounds. Now, therefore, it's my honor as mayor of the city of Doraville, Georgia, on behalf of the city council and the residents of Doraville, to hereby proclaim and recognize Teresa Aboud for her exceptional contributions to the arts, cultural understanding, community leadership, and immigrant heritage, and commend her for enriching the lives of countless individuals through her creativity, service, and advocacy. Teresa, thank you so much.
Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, the city of Doraville, and thank you, Mayor Gehrman, for this proclamation. I'm really honored. Me, this little girl that came from Lebanon 13 years ago and living in the States now, a place I call home. I'm very happy to share my art with the community. Like, I want to talk about just very quickly about unity through diversity. And this is my theme so far. And I got rich here by knowing other culture in this country, by tasting other food. And the wall, if you have seen it, if you haven't, go check it. But my theme is to show how much Doraville represents unity through diversity. And this is the goal, to have a better house, a better country, a better community, a place we call home. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Amanda, Tina, and Tora, would you mind joining me? Thank you, guys. So we are also recognizing Municipal Court Clerk Week. And, I think there are a lot of people behind the scenes who you never see in the city, and all of these people play important roles. And so I think it's great that we're getting this opportunity to recognize our municipal court clerks. Municipal courts play a significant role in providing access to justice, preserving public safety, and promoting quality of life in Georgia. More people encounter municipal court clerks than all other personnel in Georgia, and the public impression of the entire Georgia judicial system is largely dependent upon the public's experience with municipal courts. You guys have a lot on your shoulders. The court clerks of the Doraville Municipal Court demonstrate exceptional professionalism, integrity, and commitment in serving the residents, businesses, law enforcement agencies, attorneys, judges, and all who rely upon the judicial process. The dedicated staff of the Doraville Municipal Court work tirelessly behind the scenes to ensure transparency, accessibility, efficiency within our municipal court system, often serving as the first point of contact for residents seeking information and assistance. It is most appropriate that we recognize the municipal court clerks representing nearly 400 Georgia municipal courts and the critical work they play. The mayor and city council is proud to honor Amanda Dorley, court clerk, Tina Duncan, senior deputy court clerk, and Tora Brown, deputy court clerk, for pledging to provide a positive impact in our municipal court. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Joseph Geierman, Mayor of the City of Doraville, Georgia, on behalf of the Doraville City Council, do hereby proclaim June 8th through 12th as Municipal Court Clerk Week in the City of Doraville, and it's my honor to present these to each of you. And before you go, is there anything, Amanda, that you want to say?
I would just like to say thank you to the city. Thank you to these two beautiful ladies right here. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be able to do what I do. So I just appreciate you for all your hard work and your dedication. And thank you to the mayor and the council and the city for their support.
All right, so that wraps up our proclamations for the evening. We're going to take a brief break. If anyone wants to leave, you're welcome to, and we'll get started again in just a minute. next on the agenda is public comment. I'd like to invite anyone in the chamber wishing to make public comment to come up to the podium. You can have up to 3 minutes to speak on any topic. We'll also have a public hearing later tonight. So if you want to speak about the millage rate, you'll also have an opportunity then. But anyone wishing to speak, feel free to come on up. Just state your name and where you live. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to make public comment? Was it off? All right, well, anyone else wishing to make public comment in the chambers? We have a hand raised, so we'll bring Tom in, and once he's unmuted. And just to remind everyone, we will have a public hearing tonight for the millage rate also.
Okay. That was, can you hear me?
Yep.
The last person that was up, I couldn't hear a word. Something was turned off. On tonight, you have a thing where people are supposed to, they get permission to build something. They get all these variances, etc. For instance, the Union Hall building was supposed to have been started 3 years ago. And it doesn't get started. Nothing gets done. The Kmart property sits there. And the city of Doraville, and also this Union Hall property, as I understand it, is also a tax-free deal. Okay. It's the same guy that's doing this downtown hookup. And I see that's on the agenda as well, where we're doing everything on the behalf of this guy. Okay. I don't know whose cousin he is or whose baby daddy, but you've got some kind of hookup with this guy. And meanwhile, all these costs are being shifted on to the residents of Doraville. And on tonight, I mean, the one council member earlier, the earlier meeting, referred to it as the socialist collective. And that's exactly what this thing is that you have the socialist government in Doraville that doesn't have any compunction about ripping everybody's tax money out of their hands, including from the tank farm to the businesses, to the apartments, and to the residents that live here. And coming up with these crazy projects like the sideways tennis courts, which are facing the wrong way, bathrooms in the middle of the water, I mean, the city, and God knows how many employees. I've tried 3 times now to come up with a number of employees and subcontractors, and the city clerk can't come up with those. But I would contact her, but she doesn't answer the phone. Okay. We have a city manager that doesn't answer phone, emails, nothing. Okay. So there's no communication with the city at all. Okay. Yet the city council people have like a $350,000 drain in their front yard. The mayor's got an 8-foot fence. We're rewriting the zoning code so one guy can build stuff everywhere. It's all about this council and taking people's money on the personal little, what we gang tang expressway. I can't wait for the Buttercup Bridge crossing Beaufort Highway with a giant mural of George Floyd. I can't wait. So the other thing is that you've got these bonds on the schedule tonight. In 2008, we didn't have any bonds. And then they had one council member talking about the swimming pool. We couldn't afford it. The exact same words from 2006. Same thing. Same plan that doesn't work. Turned down by six city planners. And we come up with this, oh, we can't afford the pool. Yeah, well, the same thing happened in 2006 when the police department blamed their water usage on the pool. It turns out it was a faulty pipe going to the police department. This city lies to the people and the public. The city didn't lose its money because GM closed. That's a lie, but it keeps being repeated. You have all these projects that cost $50,000.
3 minutes, so you can speak again at the public hearing if you want.
Okay, well, I'll save it for the tax deal. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Was there another hand raised? All right, Ryan?
Hey,
Okay, we can hear you. Go ahead.
can
Just
you
give
hear
your,
me? Okay, perfect. No, I don't have a big thing. I know the millage rate's a little bit later, but just wanted to point one thing out that I think got misconstrued from our last meeting. Councilman Nasser had mentioned a stop sign around Addison and Colquitt. I think what was meant to be conveyed was the stop sign could be at the end of Addison and Wheeler. And that could be interesting. I know we're the topic of our last discussion centered around traffic and speeding and so forth. And there's a ton of speeders coming down that hill off of Wheeler, especially leaving school and so forth. So if we are throwing around stop signs, it's just something to think about. It could be helpful for traffic mediation and give other people an option to cross over into the Doug area a little bit easier because there is that sort of way to go from Wheeler into the Doug, but you're kind of hidden behind that telephone pole that's right there too. So just wanted to throw that out there, and that's all I got. Thank you.
thank you. I think that was the only other hand I saw raised. So we're going to close the public hearing, not the public hearing, public comment. And I'll ask council if anyone would like to make a motion regarding the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda item.
Do we have a second? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Great. All right. Next up, we have a presentation about A26-03.
All right. So this is a continuation from an item from last month, and the background on this was in 2023, the deadline for land disturbance permits was extended from 2 years to 5 years. So this text amendment is proposing to bring that back to 2 years. And just a reminder from, again, where we started with this, Community Developments and survey to all of you earlier in the year, and most people voted in favor of this. This was one of the long list of, or a list of short text amendments. So just to go over again, the current system. So when you get a building permit or land disturbance permit from the city, if you stop working or cease work, or if you don't work, or if you cease working for more than 6 months for a single family permit, yeah, that permit expires. And then if you, for everything else, commercial, industrial, all that, if you stop for a year, the permit expires. And then the hard expiration date is in like, this is the sunset of the permit. If you want to keep working, you got to get a new permit. For land disturbance permits, it's 5 years. It used to be 2 years, and for everything else, it's 2 years. So it used to be everything was 2 years, and we carved out land disturbance permits a couple years ago. So the proposed changes, so as I proposed last month, the biggest change is just reducing that from 5 years back to 2 years. I also added some language in there about defining what inactivity is. And then adding in language that our building official or their designee is allowed to make that determination. So the professionals that we usually have out inspecting sites are able to make a determination on whether or not you've actually done any work to tie it to how long whether or not your permit is expiring. So after the discussion last month, I made a few additional changes that there were a lot of things talked about, but these were the things that were proposed that either everybody seemed to be in agreement or there was no no shaking of heads or anything like that. So the first one, well, there was a lot of discussion about the city manager's ability to grant an extension. So currently, the city manager can grant a longer window for a permit before it's issued if they know ahead of time. So like assembly or the middle school and high school where they know what their construction schedule is going to be, or they know it's going to be longer, they can ask for a longer window up front and the city manager can grant that in writing. That changed the language based on the discussion last month. So that can happen at any time now. So if something crazy like a worldwide pandemic that messes with supply lines happens, the city manager would be able to grant an extension of the permit with some kind of justification as well and extend the sunset of that permit. But that extension could only be granted for up to 2 years. I believe that was something that Councilmember Simmons had brought up and nobody seemed to really disagree with that one. So 2 extra years is quite a long time for most projects. And so there was more, also the second item here, there was more discussion about, what kind of counts as an inspection or not, like somebody calling in a bogus inspection where they haven't actually done anything, but then that resetting the clock. So I added additional language in here for the building officials to be able to, if the inspection was for something substantial or basically to avoid the scenario where somebody comes out, moves a pile of dirt from one side of the yard to the other and calls that an inspection, or calls it an inspection and absolutely nothing's been done to try to reset that clock. So they're able to make that determination of nothing has changed on the site. And then also the last thing that was talked about was a fee for a permit extension. So this is not the city manager's purview to about extending the life of the permit. This is, there's other language in here about the staff being able to extend a permit for 60 days with justification. And this just adds a fee to the permit or a fee to the fee schedule for that, because currently there is no charge for doing that. And that is it. Staff are recommending approval. Let me know if you have any questions.
Okay,
No, sir.
No, I'm good. Thanks. Looks good to me.
Councilmember Evans?
Just what is the proposed permit fee extension?
It is 50% of the original permit fee, which is, and just pull that number. That's what we do for when a permit requires, your permit fee covers the first 2 inspections of your, the first 2 reviews. And anything beyond that, we start adding additional fees for staff time, and that starts at 50% of the permit fee and works its way down. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Henshaw?
Just, is anybody given a notice of out of compliance or a renewal notice, like there's coming up? Is there a way to, is that something that we do? Like, if their permits
Oh
about to
yeah,
expire?
So when we're coming up on those windows, we'd send the email to whoever the applicant is or the point of contact to let them know.
Oh, good. Okay. Glad to hear that. Okay, thanks. That's it. Good.
Councilmember Nasser?
Question, how do we determine how much fee to charge? Like, what's the square footage, is the minimum for a land disturbance permit?
The land disturbance is based on the acreage, how big the site is.
Okay. Other than that, everything else looks good. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Armistead?
No questions. This sounds good. Thank you.
Councilmember Ray?
Looks great. Thank you.
Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to pass A-26-03 as presented.
I'll second.
I heard the second from Councilmember Ray. Any further discussion? I'll call the roll. Councilmember Armistead?
Yes.
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Councilmember Henshaw?
Yes.
Councilmember Nasser?
Yes.
Councilmember Simmons?
Yes.
Councilmember Ray?
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Thank you. All right, next we're on to new business and the third public hearing for the 2026 millage rate.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Here for the third public hearing. I'm just gonna briefly go through this beginning side since it's our third time hearing it. DeKalb County collects our taxes. It's 40% off your assessed value times whatever the millage rate is. The rollback rate this year is 8.237. The current millage rate is 9 mills. Doraville currently has two tax exemptions. One is 100% for residents 70 years old or older. And then our second one is $10,000 off the assessed value plus 2.5 mills off the approved value. 2.5 mills off the approved millage rate. Here is a 5-year history of our millage rate. You'll see over the last 5 years, the tax digest has grown by a lot. In 2022 is when Assembly came on to the tax rolls. Yes, it's under a tax abatement, but it only abates the real estate, not the personal property. So as Assembly has grown and built more and added more equipment onto the property, that does come onto the tax rolls. In 2025, we annexed part of the city in 580 parcels, which contribute to $376,000 additional in revenue that year. And then, of course, this year, we have 90 townhomes that came onto the tax rolls with about a $400,000 assessed value, as well as Camino coming onto the tax rolls as of this year. Here's a look at the millage rate as if we adopted at 9, 8.7, 8.5, and at the rollback rate, with 9 being at $1.2 million in additional revenue from 2025. 8.75 would bring it in a little, almost close to 900, and 8.5 would be 500,000, and then 8.237, which is the current millage rate, would just be the 2.7%, which is the consumer price index for 2025. At the bottom, you will see on the left-hand side, the average homestead value property in Doraville is $350,000. $150,000 would be the taxable value, and that would be how much it would be more if we kept the millage rate the same at 9 mills, or keeping it the same. At 9 mills, you would pay $114,000. $114. And then at 8.75, $79 and so forth. And then on the right-hand side is the average home value at assessed value of a non-homesteaded home would be $450,000, and that would be the difference if we passed the millage rate at 9 mills, 8.75, and 8.5. Here is an example of our property tax bill in the city of Doraville. You see on the bill that Doraville taxes is only $700,000, whereas the total bill is $4,000. That is only 18% of your total tax bill. I'm sorry, 7. I saw you guys looking at me like, what? Sorry. And then just break down our digest a little bit further. What is mixed of is only 25% of our digest is a 25%. The rest is commercial and industrial. And of that 25%, 63% of the property in Doraville are homesteaded properties. The non-homesteaded properties are only 37%. And then I know from last meeting, the first public hearing, you guys asked me to look at what would happen if council decided to increase the mills off for homesteaded properties. So you have an example here as if we were to increase the homestead exemption from 2.5 mills to 3 mills at the current digest. It would give us decrease the revenue by $101,000. And then I have it broken down at the bottom. At that same $350,000 home, it would be a $65 decrease if we redid the homestead exemption. And that's all I have.
All right. Well, this is a public hearing, so first we'll open it up to members of the public wishing to speak. I'd like to invite anyone to come up to the podium. You have up to 3 minutes to speak in favor or against or advocating for a different rate. Just state your name and where you live.
Good evening. I live in 2970 Ashland Point Drive. My name is Neelam Shah. I got a couple questions. What is the purpose for raising the millage rate? So I want to understand what the purpose is in terms of raising the millage rate and then where these money will go towards. I don't want like taxes to be raised without understanding where the increased tax amount will be going.
We can only listen to your feedback. We can't go back and forth. So, but I think that the council could probably answer that after the period. Great, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Zubair Faridi. I live on Killamilly Road. I feel that, it's very shameful that in times like this, when there is so much economic uncertainty, people are losing their jobs, inflation is the highest that it has been in the last 3-4 years, that the city is raising the tax. When I moved in this city 19 years ago, the tax from that time to my last tax has risen by more than 400%, 4 times. It was about 1,200, 1,300 when I moved in. It was over 5,000 last year. And my property value obviously hasn't gone up by that much. So what is the purpose of raising taxes on the residents of the city at these difficult economic times? It really baffles me. Thank you.
Anyone else? We can look at Zoom also. We'll go to Brian first.
All right.
There you go.
Perfect. Good evening. My name is Brian Kaiser, and I live off of Addison Drive. And I'm back tonight to follow up on the millage rate discussion that we had last week. I think it was last week. But in the last meeting, Mayor Geierman mentioned that there could be, and I think China just showed it on her slides, an increase to the homestead exemption to maybe 3. And I think that that's kind of exactly the kind of targeted relief that the community needs. I definitely support that. And really, if you break down some of her figures that she had on her slides, our net digest value has grown from 850 million to 1.52 billion in the last 5 years. And that's about an 80% growth. And so that rising tide has lifted the city revenue significantly, but it's also driven up assessments on the very same homeowners who have been there the longest, obviously. And an increased homestead exemption directly offsets the burden of people who live there, pay taxes here, and are most squeezed by rising values. And so we can do that, but we're doing it. We could do that without giving a blanket break to outside developers and commercial interests who have, are the primary beneficiaries of the city's growth initiative. So I think it's the right approach, target relief to residents, and we need to let commercial and non-homestead properties carry their fair share. So I appreciate you putting this on the table last week, and I just urge the council to try to move on this as quickly as possible. I know it's a long time to get there from where we are at this point in the year. But yeah, just do that and pair it maybe with those accountability measures that I mentioned when we do end up looking at newer deals that we could be making down the road. And just send a clear message that, going forward, we're not going to give just blanket agreements to new developers coming in or anything like that. So that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you. And I saw Tom's hand raised. There you go. Tom, you just unmute and you can have up to 3 minutes.
Yeah, so there's a couple of good questions. The city of Dorville, not only with this millage rate increase or the tax increase because of increased evaluations, if you keep the same millage rate, on top of that, we're going to have to pay back all these bonds on top of that. Okay, so you're going to, on your tax bill, you're going to get another, $200 or so. You're going to have to pay off these bonds that the city is selling left and right. And I might add, The city never was in debt before 10 years ago, since 1871. Never. And all of a sudden they met a bond salesman. They just can't sell enough bonds. Okay. So we got bonds going everywhere. Okay. But where's the money going? You don't have a plan. You don't have a budget. You don't have a budget for the downtown. You keep on moving things. You don't have money to build the pool. You don't have a library. We're not getting a separate library building. You gotta put them in the coat closet at this new white elephant you're building. Okay, so you didn't have a plan, and then you're going to give what, half the property away to the Zobel guy? I mean, where's all this tax money going? You got CIDs, you got special tax districts, and anything that isn't in an R1 house is now getting jacked up for all this tax money. Where's the money going to? Okay. Is it going for another little drain in front of one of the council members' houses, or we got a little 8-foot fence, zoning change for the mayor? I mean, you all have these little personal little projects going on that don't benefit the people in this city. And so when they ask a question, okay, you're going to raise the taxes. Why do you need the money? In this annexation area that you talked about, okay, this says, well, we have to pay for the annexation area. Back when that was done, the state of Georgia, for the first time in history, gave all that commercial area to the city of Doraville so it could bolster its valuations, so it could borrow more bond money to give to the GM developer. That's what that was for. And DeKalb County called foul. So for the last decade, Doraville has been slurping up all that commercial tax money that should have supported that neighborhood. Now it shoes on the other foot. Where's all the money you collected that is to support that neighborhood that you're whining about right now? Okay. The city of Doraville, you need to go back, and it's like the swimming pool, Taylor's like, oh, it's terrible. We couldn't afford that. It's like, that's the same stuff that we heard in 2006. Same identical deal. Okay. You need to find out what your history is, what happened originally, and address it without lying to people. Okay. The GM property didn't go, it didn't close down and the city lost all its money. That did not occur. And anybody that looks at the financials, you can see it. The city went on a spending spree. What income went up at the same time, except that we outspent by $3 million a year. This city lies to the public, and then it keeps on raising people's taxes, and maybe they're getting tired of it. Certainly, if I was a business here, would put up with it. I know businesses right now, they're looking for another place to go because they've been in DeKalb County all this time. Now they're getting absolutely hammered because the city of Doraville, on top of that, has an income tax on businesses. It's based on their gross revenues. So it's tax on top of tax on top of tax. So let's talk about the bond payback and all the rest of it when we're talking about the millage rate on these homeowners. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Is anyone else? All right, we're going to close the public hearing, bring it back to council. I guess first, I just want to address one thing. My house had an 8-foot fence when I bought it in 2001. So I don't know who got the variance to build it. And council was lobbied pretty heavily by Peggy Riley to change the zoning ordinance. I had a pretty ratty looking fence up until council did make that change, but I never asked them to do it. So thank you, Tim Snyder, for that one thing. I guess also just want to comment really quickly. I think special service districts are a unique thing that the city has done in the last few years. They actually keep us from having to tax residents for improvements that need to be made. So like if anyone drives by the tank farms, we've been able to fund repaving those roads, which were really awful and damaged a lot of cars over the years, because we have a special assessment just on the tank farms, which are really the main users of those roads and the ones who cut them down. That is not part of this because it's separate. It's a tax just on that specific user. I think I would also just say that to the question about raising the millage rate, the conversation is really about keeping the millage rate where it is or lowering it. And then the other question is you get a deduction based on your homestead. You can register for a homestead exemption with the county, at a certain period of time. I think right now, if you don't have one, you can go until July 13th if you are a resident of the house. That Doraville has increased its homestead exemption a number of times over the last couple of years. We recently actually made it a floating millage rate mill. So you're actually was it 2.5 mils? So you get 2.5 off of the current 9. So your effective rate is 6.5.
Plus 10.
And then 10,000 also gets knocked off your valuation. So I think what we're talking about now is, in addition to that, exploring adding to that floating mill exemption. So your rate would actually go down to 6 versus the 6.5 if you're a resident who lives in the house that you own. And I mean, the taxes go to everything it takes to run the city is, basically goes to the taxes. So the salary of all the police, we've got very good police department, all of that is paid for by the taxes. All the people, the planning department, the court clerks that we just saw, they all get paid for by that. We are going through a repaving schedule to make sure that all of our roads get repaved based on how they what kind of condition they're in. There's some that are in very bad condition. We're applying all the money to that. We hired an extra code enforcement officer. Some of the money is going to that. We did, despite what was said, we went through an expansion, and that's part of the reason that we have more money coming in, just because we have more residences in the within our footprint. But at the same time, you don't want to cut the money that you have coming in, because right now is when we need to make sure that we're taking care of those people. We've invested a lot in the parks. We're talking about more looking at like an overall parks plan, but even since then, we've added restrooms to parks. We've improved, heard a mean comment about the tennis courts, but I see people using it every time I walk by that place. So the money is investing in the city. I mean, it's not being spent, frivolously. However, there is a budgeting process that is going to happen this summer. Councilmember Nasser, Councilmember Evans, and Councilmember Ray are going to be on that budget committee. So I would also say, I encourage you to reach out to each one of them, because they are going to be deciding, hey, we don't need this, we need this. What we do with the money that does get raised. So those are my comments, but I'll just say I never asked anybody for any particular vote on that fence. I didn't vote on it, and the only person I ever heard from about it was Peggy Riley. So, and then all the people who spoke about it at City Council. So anyway, Councilmember Ray, anything?
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for saying all of that. I understand why you would, but I don't know that it's worth responding to every baseless accusation we hear. Thank you, China. Very good report. And thank you for coming in and speaking today, and for the people who called in. Did want to address a couple things. Like the mayor said, we're not raising the millage rate. We're proposing we keep that the same. On top of all of the homestead exemption stuff that the mayor shared, we also were the only city in DeKalb that opted into what was called House Bill 581. What that does is it actually caps how much your city property taxes can raise on homestead exempt properties, and it ties that to just the inflation index. And so that change this year was 2.7%. So that rather than, as the residential properties rise in value over time as the land gets more valuable. It's only going up by the inflation index. And that is basically the city's ask of residents. Can you just match inflation with us and we will have other property values at this 9 mil rate help carry the rest of the city budget. So that was the goal with that. I'll also just go on record saying I am in favor of looking into these homestead rules, either if it's a quarter mil, half mil back or anything along those lines, but looking at, how we can affect our residents positively. I think the metric of 63% of people being homestead exemptions, I think that's a really great number. I'd like to see that even higher. And I think if we can find ways to add relief to residents and encourage even more people to set down roots here, that would be really great. In terms of where the extra money is going, it's going to all of the staff that we have, all the services we offer. We had a resident in public comment talk about this differences they've seen during annexation. That's a credit to our code enforcement, our police department, our public works. Those people all work very hard, and it allows us to maintain a great staff to offer cost of living adjustments as time goes on. These services aren't free, but I think we've heard that they are beneficial to the community. Additionally, the way this is reported, where it says there's a rollback millage rate, what that does would keep us at just a budget neutral, which means even as inflation increased over time, the city has less buying power now to offer those services. My goal with our tax dollars is to build a community we're all proud to live in, a community where we were able to pool resources and offer amenities at very low cost or potentially even no cost for people who couldn't afford them otherwise. We used to have a swimming pool. Despite what you may have heard, it was on its very last leg. We did not, I think, have all of our budget in place over the last few decades to maintain the public property we had. It builds out sidewalk infrastructure to allow us to walk to our new downtown. It builds out multimodal versions of transit. It helps us pave the roads. Despite our SPLOST, we do not get enough money to maintain all of the infrastructure in front of these homes. I think it goes to all of that. And so for the people who called in, for people here, and for anyone just listening in, I would say instead of looking at this as a negative, think about the fact that we've brought in more property. These commercial properties are higher in value, so we have more funds. And what type of city do you want to live in? What services do we not have that we can build out or work on together? What can we budget for long term to make these neighborhoods great? So I am in favor of the 9 mills. I do want to look into ways to continually provide relief to our residents. I think they deserve that, but I don't want to look at this as what's the bare minimum we need to get by. I want to look at what type of city do we want to have, and let's go for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Armistead.
Thank you. It's very hard to add anything additional to what's already been said. I agree. As the city grows, the needs grow. As we heard from our lovely public commenter, the extra money is going to fund extra services in our extra newly annexed areas, among all of the other things Councilmember Ray just mentioned. The more we invest in our city, the more development we will attract to our city, the more our tax base will rise. And eventually, the goal would be we have such a thriving city that we can think about rolling back the rate, but I'm also in favor of keeping it at 9 mills, especially due to our city center project, which is a huge project. It only happens once. It's going to be transformative for our city, and we need to do it right. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Simmons.
Thanks, Mayor. And there's always two sides to everyone's comment, so when you hear something, it's always got to be fact checked. We're not in debt. One, the GEO bond was voted on democratically last year by Doraville residents and approved, and that's the bond we approved to add extra mill to our tax to fund the People's Building downtown. That was put out on the ballot in the library and voted on. So if anyone's upset, about that, then they didn't have enough votes because it got approved by more residents than disapproved it. So just to let you know that the SSD tax district at the tank farms does not go to the city per se. It goes directly to the roads in the tank farms, and it's all taxed on the commercial buildings in that area. So it alleviates, as Mayor Guyman said, the residents from paying tax on that and keeps our roads up to date and safe, since the tankers with a lot of gallons of fuel running over those roads and mess them up will pay more for that and keep them up. And then the SSD we did for downtown will help fund the downtown. It goes to commercial properties within was it a 5 mile radius, right? And that's on commercial properties only, and it helps fund that because their value will increase and they'll bring in more revenue with the downtown that we're building. So they're going to participate in that. The swimming pool was removed because we cannot have a swimming pool next to a dirt site and it's in the way of our downtown. So I mean, the swimming pool was going regardless. And taxes have not been raised. If you look at the numbers, it looks like our tax digest went up, but that's because, like everyone said, we have annexed more properties and our value's gone up. So you just got to read the details about that. It's not like we've stayed the same. We've raised taxes, brought in more money, but we get the same service. And to services that your tax dollars do pay for, to add is like our leaf truck, public works, and trash and well, not really recycling, more trash that you can do. So that is just something to add on to what everyone else said. So to keep our city clean, running, and beautiful. But now back to the tax mill rate. I'm fine with leaving it 9. I'm fine going 8.75. But I think with the People's Building and everything going on downtown, I'd rather leave it at 9 right now. Dropping it a quarter of a mil is not going to make too much of a difference. There was a slide earlier today that China showed. It was roughly on a $300,000 house with homestead exemption. You're paying roughly $750, give or take. And that's city taxes, $750. Their tax bill was $4,200. So the rest of the money is going to sanitation for DeKalb County. $2,700 was to DeKalb County schools. We have nothing to do with that. So everyone says their tax bill is so high. You're really only paying $750 to the city for the services that we all said your tax dollars go to. The police, the parks, the roads, public works, all that stuff. And if you think about it, $750 a year really doesn't cut it. I think you're getting a good deal out of all the services you get. So it's like we're doing magic tricks up here to make all these services work with that kind of money that we have coming in, which doesn't sound like a lot with the services you get in the city that you have. So, it's just you got to read the details about it, because I know when I first started looking at tax bills, I was like, man, that's a lot. Then you just read the line items and it's like, well, dang, why is the DeKalb County schools charging me, what, 70%? I think, what is it, China? About 70% of your tax bill is the school? Yeah. So you need to talk to your school board people in DeKalb County if you're really upset with your high bill. But I guess that's all I got. Thanks.
Councilmember Evans.
Well, thank you for bearing through this. This is our third and final presentation on this. And I think I joined council late 2019. So it's been a journey. So this 5-year tax history, I can attest to personally as a resident and on council. And with that, I we've maintained that 9 millage rate over that course of time, but we've improved a lot of services throughout the city. We've increased code enforcement from 2 to 4 officers. We've added the restrooms in the park, like the mayor mentioned, to 3 parks. Pickleball courts, tennis courts now that were torn down from the unusable tennis courts prior to in Brook Park. There's just been a lot of added services. We brought in-house all the different sidewalks that are being done. There's one being done on Flowers Road now. There's several sidewalks that never existed before that now there's connectivity to different areas and neighborhoods, paving the streets. All these things come at a cost. And even moving here, this building was a shell. Now we're here versus on Buford Highway, which comes at a cost. But I'm happy that our staff you have your own office. Our planning department has their own office being cramped into the small building that the prior city hall was. And that's important, because you want to come to a place where you are proud to work in, proud to live in, and you want to attract top talent. And as Doraville continues to grow, that's why we're here having this conversation. But I want to answer some questions. So how have we been able to maintain that 9 millage rate and also do all of those things mentioned?
By looking at the 5-year tax history, you see that the value of Doraville's tax digest has increased. So the values have went up, but we were able to keep the millage rate the same. In 2021, the digest was a little over 900 million, and the the millage rate was 9.75. In those years, we've brought it down to 9, and now we're at over 1 billion in value. So a lot of this, and again, goes back to the commercial properties bringing a lot of increase in their values, and it not going to the not going to the residentials. It's 44% of our digest is commercial property. So as their values increase, it makes the value of the whole digest increase, and with all these home exemptions, it alleviates it from the homeowners.
Which is great. And I think 63% of our homeowners you mentioned is actually homestead exempted.
That's correct.
There's actually an increase that could happen there as well if people haven't applied yet. You actually still have time until July. Do you know the exact date?
13th.
So if you haven't applied for homestead exempted, you can apply now until July 13th and have it exempted for next year and beyond. You'll be frozen in at that rate versus it going up potentially. But yeah, we have a lot more growing to do. I think we have more staff that we can bring on, retaining our police force, they're doing a great job. And yeah, that's why we're here. But I like the idea of not increasing it, maintaining it as we grow the city, and then we can look at ways to bring in more commercial to help alleviate even more. Thank you.
I guess I'll also just comment on what Councilmember Evans said, because it made me think, a lot of it has been growth related to work that this council has done over the years, over your tenure, over the tenure of a lot of us up here to make the conditions for developments like Camino and like the new townhomes and all those other kind of larger adds to the tax rolls, so that not so much of the burden will be falling on our residents over time, and eventually, hopefully we can see the actual millage rate go down a little bit more. But in the meantime, I do hope we can increase the exemption as well. Councilmember Nasser.
Thank you, everyone who are listening from the home and who are present here today. I appreciate all our staff who worked hard on this. Thank you, but I would like to see 8.5, but it's not possible. It's not possible because we gotta run our city. But I really like, if council agrees, we can roll back to 8.75 as proposed instead of now 9 mil. That will at least help some of the residents who needed help. That will help for buying a lunch for a day, at least. That's all I got to say. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Councilmember Henshaw.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys all touching on a bunch of stuff, and I know I can be long-winded, and I apologize, but this is important. So yeah, just to touch on a couple of other questions that had come up or statements that were made. The city doesn't set tax abatements through properties. It's the DDA, which is completely independent of the council. Again, to reiterate, 18% of your tax bill is Doraville, 82% is other. So when your tax bill, goes up 400%, yeah, it's a lot, but a huge portion of that is a vast majority of that is increasing county taxes, school taxes, et cetera. If you're a senior in the city, you actually pay about only 10% of your tax bill if you qualify for both the county and the city exemptions. So if you have a $6,000 tax bill, you wind up effectively paying $600 out of pocket. And that's total. That's not money to the city because the city's not getting anything. So, we get people that complain that their taxes in the city are too high, yet they are exempted from all city taxes. So, we can be called socialists, but these people who are, and I don't blame them at all. I think it's a great service that we offer as a city, and I'm proud that we offer a senior exemption as a city. But it's hard to be accused of being socialists by people who take advantage of that and don't pay taxes and then get mad about us, offering that program. So, I don't know. If you're very upset about the concept of socialism, feel free to write a full check for your taxes back to the state and city, and repeal your tax exemption and pay the whole bill if that's what you're going for. So, Your tax bill does, by the way, include the bond. You're not going to be getting a separate bill for the GEO bond. That's included. It's in your statement. You can see it. And once again, I do want to reiterate, and I mentioned this previously, but when we annexed the city, the new parts of the city in, the SPLOST dollars that come along with that annexation don't come along with that annexation. So we should be getting an additional, I don't know what the number is, but we'll call it $1 million in SPLOST money over the next 6 years or whatever that would be. And we're not. So not only are we improving services in the newly incorporated parts of town, but the entire city is paying for that without the help of the SPLOST dollars that would have been coming across. So please, we have fantastic reps. This is not anything that they've done, but the only way to get that changed is to talk to the state representatives. The city has absolutely no control over those that SPLOST dollars. And I know a couple people did touch on it, but the SSD, that was, I think we borrowed $6 to $8 million for that SSD to repave those roads. The roads were completely shot. They had to be rebedded and rebuilt from the ground up due to 1,500 trucks a day weighing up to 80,000 pounds apiece driving on them. That wear and tear on those roads came solely from those vehicles. And if we had to pay just for those roads as a city, we wouldn't be able to pave any other road in the city for the entire SPLOST cycle. So we literally wouldn't have been able to pave a single road in the city and would have just had to be able to pave the roads around the tank farm if we hadn't completed that SSD. In the meantime, all of the rest of the roads would be falling apart in disrepair. And once roads hit a certain poor quality, then their beds start to erode and we'd have to spend even more money fixing those later on down the road. So that SSD was a lifesaver for this city financially and time-wise. And it really saved our roads. So, your tax dollars, I believe that your tax dollars actually go really pretty far in this city. I hate that we had to tear out the pool. We were told not just the copings and the, surface of the pool, but all of the pipes underneath the pool were shot. And I think somebody mentioned that, years of neglect will do that to a pool. Years of upkeep and maintenance will also do that to a pool. They're just expensive things that eventually need to be, repaired or replaced. And it was time to be replaced. So we chose not to replace it where it was. We chose to move it to a new location. And we're going to get to that as soon as we can. But if we lower tax dollars, that's certainly not going to come any faster. I feel people's pain. I'm lucky enough to be in a position where I can afford the tax increase, and it stinks and it hurts. I ate dinner out the other day at a place where it used to cost about $60, and the other day was $80 to eat dinner there. And it's, I choose to spend my money. I do most of my dining out here in Doraville because I want to support my local businesses. So I understand why it's frustrating to have to pay an increase of a couple dollars on your tax bill. 10 cents a day, 12 cents a day ultimately adds up to a meal. But when that money is aggregated and then spread out amongst the community, it does far more than that. I believe it does far more than that 10 cents a day ever could individually. That money really gets stretched really pretty far. And I want to thank our code enforcement, but specifically our police department. Police officers were historically underpaid in Georgia and sort of undervalued in Georgia. And I mean, there was a push within the past few years, and it's both great for the police departments and unfortunate for the city budgets. But departments were leapfrogging one over the other to increase salaries, to try to retain their officers. And we have great officer retention here in Doraville. Our officers are not just a number. They're not just a police officer. They're people that are vested in this community. Our chiefs have all lived here, grown up here. They're vested in these communities, and we want to keep our officers. We want to keep our staff as long as we can. For every dollar we spend on their salaries, we'd have to spend $2 to $3 recruiting a replacement and training that replacement. So it just makes sense to, cost of living increases and bonuses because these people have been so good, especially during COVID, especially during that challenging time when our public works department was here every day. Our police officers were here every day. Your 10 cents a day goes a really long way to helping those people's lives, stay where they are, keep them here in the city. So I would like to see 8.75. I think the city could probably afford it, but I also know that There's a lot of uncertainty. So the 9 mills, and I again, if we keep it at 9, I'll happily explore an increase in the homestead exemption. I do also just want to very briefly apologize, touch base, just a good comparison between Doraville and Decatur. We're about the same square mileage. We're about 4.75 square miles. Our annual budget is approximately 22 million, 23 million total. Decatur's annual budget for the same exact square mileage is 47.5 million. So they are more than double our annual budget for the same amount of square mileage. So that means they're paving approximately the same amount of roads, the same amount of sidewalks. They've got a similar size police force, a similar size code enforcement. So, their taxes, they raise so much more money. They are able to effectively spend so much more money, and people flock to live in Decatur because the quality of life is so good, because they have phenomenal parks, because they have phenomenal everything, because their tax dollars help pay for that. And I'm not saying I want to raise our taxes so that we double the amount of money we're bringing in as a city, but it would be nice to have a little bit of that extra money in order to help bring our city up to that point. It's a two-edged sword. Your house is your biggest investment, but it's also a cost of living. So that's it. Apologize for being long-winded about that, but this is important. And if you have additional questions, reach out to me. Thank you.
Councilmember Simmons, you had something else?
Well, yeah, I was going to state what Councilmember Henshaw actually said. It was just that the council has no say-so in tax abatements to these developments and developers. It's all done through the DDA, someone that's not has any correlation to us or that we can influence or any of that stuff. So just wanted to let you guys know that that is done by the DDA, not city council. And if you think about it, though, would you rather have a empty lot sit there for 10 years or have a tax abatement for 10 years where then it will turn into something nice over the time? So you got to think of it that way as well. But no, that's all I really wanted to state.
Anyone else have anything? All right. I think next, China, you're asking for a vote.
Yes.
Would anyone like to make a resolution on the millage rate?
I'll make a motion on a resolution adopting the 2026 millage rate at 9 and not to increase it.
Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I'll just be, just again, publicly commenting that we'll talk about potential changes to the homestead exemption in the future. So if you could just bring us some, now that we, potentially moving forward with this, if this moves forward, bring us a couple of options for homestead changes in the future.
Yeah, I second that.
I think the mission to the budget committee, you guys, is going to be to work with China on what that should be, and then bring it back to council so that we can give it to our lobbyist and he can work with our state legislators to get that passed. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All right, Councilmember Ray?
Yes.
Councilmember Simmons?
Yes.
Councilmember Nasser?
No.
Councilmember Henshaw?
Yes.
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Councilmember Armistead?
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Item C.
The next millage rate that we want to pass tonight is adopting a resolution for the Doraville. This is just a millage rate on the downtown city center area, just keeping it the same at 5 mills as the ordinance has it currently. And this millage rate is just to pay the bond back on those funds.
We kind of are required to do this based off of the bonds that we took, right?
That's correct.
We don't need to do a public hearing on it.
No, these are just
Right. Does anyone have any questions? Would anyone like to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve the millage rate as requested by our Director of Finance.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, I'll call the roll. Councilmember Armistead?
Yes.
Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Councilmember Henshaw?
Yes.
Councilmember Nasser?
Yes.
Councilmember Simmons?
Yes.
Councilmember Ray?
Yes.
All right, motion passes.
the second resolution before you is for the GO bonds. Again, this is to pay back the bonds, the GO bond at 0.44 mils, just to pay back the note on that.
Right. And again, this one was already has already been approved by the residents.
Right. This is the one that went before the
Voters.
referendum.
All right, would anyone like to make a motion?
Comment.
Go.
I just want to thank the voters for this. I mean, I know it is a tax increase, but you are getting a beautiful brand new library coming to your downtown, which will really help anchor our community as it grows. So thank you for voting for this.
Can I make a motion too?
Make a motion to approve the millage rate as directed by our Director of Finance.
You have a second? Any discussion? Anyone else want to say anything? All right, Councilmember Nasser,
Yes.
Councilmember Simmons,
Yes.
Councilmember Ray,
Yes.
Councilmember Henshaw,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Armistead,
Yes.
which passes.
Okay, the next resolution is adopting the millage rate for the tank farms that we talked about. It's just paying back the bond on that. I'm proposing that we put the millage rate for the tank farms at 19 mils.
This is kind of driven again by the
bond.
bonds.
Yes.
Any questions or discussion about this? Anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve item E, consideration of a resolution adopting the 2026 millage rate for the Special Service District Tank Farms.
Second?
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? I'll call the roll. Councilmember Evans?
Yes.
Councilmember Simmons?
Yes.
Councilmember Nasser?
Yes.
Councilmember Henshaw?
Yes.
Councilmember Armistead?
Yes.
Councilmember Ray?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, our last resolution is for a millage rate on the Assembly CID. They do have a third party that does assessment on their property, and they basically tax themselves to pay back their bonds. And part of that money also goes to the AMA to maintain their parks and infrastructure over there. They're proposing that their millage rate be at 123 mils.
Any questions or discussion about this?
Currently?
I think last year was a 125, this year is 123. But they're just taxing themselves.
It's just based on whatever their costs are for the year.
Right. They have a third party that does all that for them, and they give me the report. I review it and then turn it into a millage rate.
Any other questions or comments? Would anyone like to make a motion?
Make a motion to adopt the millage rate as set by our Director of Finance.
Do I have a second? Okay, any discussion? All right, I'll call the roll. Councilmember Armistead,
Yes.
Councilmember Ray,
Yes.
Councilmember Nasser,
Yes.
Councilmember Henshaw,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Simmons.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Thank you very much. See you next year.
Maybe before that.
No, well, the budget process.
You know.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and council members. This variance case was submitted by Nicole Reynoso Collado. It is to vary section 5-70 subsection E, which is to allow for a second curb cut and driveway. The property is located at 3939 Spanish Oak Drive. Here's a photo of the house and property in question. This code enforcement was first initiated by, this variance was initiated by a code enforcement case back in March of 2025, where code enforcement had realized that there was a new concrete pad poured. They asked the applicant to come into our department to pull a permit. It was later discovered that the permit required a variance. And so initially, this variance request was to permit this concrete pad and raised parking structure. So during staff's analysis of the original application submittal, it was determined that the existing concrete pad and parking structure, it was located entirely within the city's right-of-way, which you can see on your screen. It's also partially located on a 10-foot drainage easement. Per section 23-903, subsection C, does not allow for parking structures to be built within the city's right-of-way. So the initial variance request was eventually denied, recommendation from staff was to deny the request. They went to Planning Commission where the applicant requested to postpone the case, to go back to the drawing board and revise their request. So that was in May of this year. They went back to Planning Commission with a new proposal. I'm sorry, this is the original site plan. So it just shows in blue, the original parking pad, and then in red, where you see the 8 feet, that was a request to extend the original parking pad to meet the minimum driveway length of 18 feet. So on May 20th of this year, they updated the revised site plan. So as you can see in the blue box, the variance application focus shifted from the existing concrete pad and raised parking structure to now a entirely new proposed second driveway located on the opposite side of the property where the land is a little bit more flat. Let's see. So this is just showing the approximate location as it relates to the existing concrete driveway and also the existing raised parking pad. The issue here with this property is that the topography is very steep. As you can see from the chart, it is about a 10-foot drop from Spanish Oak Drive until you reach the house. The applicant has said during our pre-application meeting that oftentimes during rain events and possibly snow, when it snows, it's very hard to get down the driveway. And so it's hard for them to park and get down the driveway. Also, from photos, there's just evidence of cars not being able to pull in and out of the existing driveway because the cars will scrape against the driveway and also the road. And so staff definitely sees a need for a solution. We do believe that they should have the right to enjoy a driveway that is safe to pull in and out and also safe to walk down. So staff's recommendation, we're recommending either option A or option B. Option A is really for the applicant to come up here and defend as to why it's not feasible. But option A is to extend the existing driveway, which I'll show a figure, to extend the driveway to the right side, just allowing them to meet code and not have to obtain a variance. They would have to redo their existing sidewalk and replant their landscaping bed. But the first option would be to not obtain a variance if it's possible. So option A would require them to come in and just kind of provide justification as to why option A is not feasible. Option B is if you all find that option A is not feasible, and if y'all do find a true hardship for this application, we do recommend that option B gets approved. We were recommending a condition for option B that before the permit for the second driveway is issued, that the concrete pad and raised parking structure get removed. The purpose for that condition was so that there won't be 3 curb cuts and 3 driveways on site. I did speak with Code Officer LeBlanc. She did update me on their code enforcement case. The case is closed. It's been adjudicated. She said that the applicant is currently on a probation order. A part of that probation order requires them to remove that layer of concrete that they did pour without a permit. The probation order also requests that they obtain a permit for the raised parking structure. Because we will not be able to issue a permit for that raised parking structure due to section 23-903C, which states that they cannot have that in the right of way. Essentially, that parking pad will it'll go away due to court order. So this condition is essentially moot. So option A or option B, that raised parking structure will need to be removed. So just want to be clear tonight that the focus of this application is not about the concrete pad and the raised parking structure. It's now shifted to that second proposed concrete driveway. The applicant is here tonight if y'all have any questions, and also staff is here available as well.
Ms. Collado, would you like to say anything? Okay. Do you mind pulling up an overhead view of the site?
Like a survey?
Well, it's just hard to understand exactly where everything was. Like, where is this little jut out that they built?
Oh. So it's where that blue arrow is. And this is the length of the double-sided arrow is the city's right of way.
So it's down at the bottom.
Yes. Let me see. This is it kind of shows you where it's located. You can see on the bottom left-hand corner of the raised parking pad and raised parking structure. But that is under court order to be removed. Again, the shift is now to do something on the right-hand side of the property, which the topography is a little bit more flatter and easier to work with.
And there were two issues with, I get that this is not the subject, but there were two issues with it, the length and then just the fact that it was in the right of way.
That's correct. The length, they were going to extend it. So first issue was that. Second issue was it was in the right of way. Third issue is because it was over a 10-foot drainage easement. So if the city were to ever need to fix that drainage easement, we would need to tear into the parking pad. And typically we would not want to have to tear into anything. We would just want that area to be free and clear of any structures.
Okay. Well, see what questions the council has. Why don't we start with Councilmember Nasser?
So my question is, we're going to, so they're going to be able to build the additional parking space to the right where there are mailboxes, right?
That's option A, which we're flexible on that. Option A just says you meet code, meaning code means there shouldn't be a width greater than 24 feet.
Right.
And it should at least be 18 feet long. So that's option A if you choose to. Here, and I'll go to slide.
And the option B will be,
Option B is to approve their request to where that green shape is, it is to approve a second driveway on the right-hand side of their property.
I think we should be fine. I'm okay with the option B. I'm okay with the option B. Don't have any additional comments, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
Councilmember Henshaw?
Thanks. You know I'm going to say it. This is why it's so important to get surveys. Because
Yes.
it lets you know where easements are or stormwater and drain lines and everything. I have a question. Go up one drawing. One more. Oh, sorry. Go the other way. There, that one. So this is to scale, correct?
The survey, yes.
Okay, so if the survey is to scale, their concrete driveway is approximately 10 feet wide. To the left of their building, where that parking pad is, between the existing concrete driveway and the drainage easement, there's sort of where their parking pad is currently, which overhangs the drainage easement. Isn't that an opportunity as like option C? They could widen their driveway to the left of that?
They could, but that is where the topography is the most steepest.
I understand that.
Yeah, but yes.
So, it looks like in the picture, they've actually got quite a bit of a swale or a bump that goes from the road up into their driveway before. My house on Addison was this exact problem. You had to go over a little bump because it kept the water out, from the road. It does look like they've got a very robust drainage culvert before their driveway hits, and because I think their road is falling from the left to the right, correct? And there's a drainage culvert just to the left of there.
Yes.
So theoretically, there's a vast majority of the water is being collected, assuming we've been maintaining these or at least attempting to maintain them. So my suggestion is to just let them widen their driveway to the left. And I understand it is a little steep, but if they redo their bump into their driveway while they're redoing the drive, that can both be fixed so they're not scraping, and it can accommodate the grade. They can regrade that driveway just a little bit. They want to redo their stairs, and they won't need a second curb cut. Driveway minimum width for basically safety getting in and out of cars is 20 feet for so they wouldn't even have to push to the 24-foot max, and they wouldn't be violating that construction easement. So that would be my vote. It should be the lowest cost. They don't have to add a second curb cut. They do have to navigate some topographic issues. Unfortunately, you buy a house on a hill and you have to navigate topographic issues. But again, this is why it's so important. Before you do driveway work, before you do any work on your house, get a survey so you don't have to pay twice to do the work over again. You don't have to get fined. You don't have to get a ticket. You don't have to, be put on probation, which is crazy, but we stay out of court cases. So, I would highly suggest an option C. That it should be more cost effective. It should be easier. Obviously there's already a curb cut there for that that sort of retained area as well. So I kind of kills most of the birds with one stone.
Yeah. And option A was kind of flexible. It was just to meet code. It didn't have to be to the left.
Yeah.
So, if you want to say option A, but to the left, that's also.
I would say option A to the left, but that's just me. But please go get surveys before you pay to have work done. So you don't have to go through this whole process, because this is painful and even more expensive and more time consuming to do it twice. So that's it. Thanks.
Councilmember Simmons.
Thanks, Mayor. If option B is a second driveway on the other side with the driveway on the left, I'm not in favor of that, because then we're going to get stormed with a bunch of 2 driveway curb cuts. No way. Option A, I'm fine. I don't care which way you go, left or right. I mean, if you go left, you're going with your existing driveway, so it's just as steep as it is now. So I don't understand the whole steep talk about that. It's like, that's what your current driveway is, right? Am I looking at it wrong? But well, actually, I'm not looking at yours.
It's hard to.
Go to the
topography.
The one where it says possible driveway expansion on the right. It's probably after option A. Yeah, keep going. That one. That's their driveway, and it's just, if you go to the left, it's just going to follow that driveway, right?
That's correct. That's the
Am I
issue that
missing?
they're currently having.
Yeah, I mean, the grade's the same as your driveway currently is.
That's correct.
Okay. I mean, but that's not for me to say. I don't care if you go to the right where you have a shorter driveway and dead into your stone pathway to your front door, or if you go to the left and have a longer driveway down to your garage. That's fine. But option B, I'm not in favor of putting a whole nother driveway on the other side. And with option A, I'd like the pad removed and the curb report.
Report, okay.
Yeah, because I think he had it all except the curb getting report, because it would just be a curb cut. Huh? Okay, no. As long, I just didn't see. I just want to make sure. But I mean, that'd be the way to go, and it's up to them whether they want to go to the right or left. That's not for me to decide.
Yes, and whether they go to the right or left, it couldn't be an actual structure. It would need to be flat with.
Yeah, it's a driveway. You need to follow the topography of your current driveway.
Yeah.
Or just rip it up and re-pour. But yeah, no, that's my comment.
Councilmember Evans.
Has the court already ruled on the concrete pad and the elevation?
Yes.
Got it. So we just can stay away from that altogether. Now, the left to the right of the driveway, isn't it only one way to go based on this photo? Am I missing something here? In the driveway with option A coming towards the patio, is that coming to the right? Or am I looking at it backwards?
Going this way would be to the right where the yellow arrows are drawn on the screen. Yes, that would be to the right.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Sorry.
If you look at the top survey, that blue box, that would be where the proposed driveway expansion would be in relation to the existing original driveway.
But option A is the proposal to the right. Is that correct?
That was staff's proposal, but again, flexibility on that. It was just to meet the code, whether it goes to the left or right.
Coming to the right, is there limits on the driveway length? Are we talking full length, like into the patio or stopping at the patio?
Minimum driveway lengths need to be at least 18 feet. Yes, they would need at least 18 feet on private property, which there's enough room on there just based off their survey. So if you see the white kind of wall with the posts, if they put a driveway all the way to there, that would qualify for that 18-foot length. That would meet that requirement.
From the street, that's 18 feet?
Not from the street. As you can tell, from the street inwards, that's still public right of way. So whenever their property begins, they need to build a driveway at least 18 feet from the property line, which is not the same as where the curb is.
Personally, I would prefer it there because that just makes the most sense, but it doesn't make sense if it has to be 18 feet long. So I'm okay if they do it this way to have a variance to extend into the patio and stop there. I'm not sure how many cars that would fit, maybe just one. I'm not sure the proposal of how many cars they're trying to fit, but that makes the most sense in my opinion. But with that being said, the current driveway, have they exhausted the possibilities of jacking it up so they don't have any issues with that, or having lifts added onto it?
There hasn't been a discussion on reconfiguring the existing driveway to kind of modify the topography so that there's not as steep.
Carve the garage.
Yeah, right. So it would be very hard to do that just given the garage.
Okay.
You're gonna say something about the length?
I was going to say something about option A. That's meaning they don't need a variance at all. And so the possible recommendation or decision would be to withdraw the application without prejudice. Just because if y'all go with option A, they would not need a variance at all. But there would need to be a decision made.
I'm in favor of option A.
All right, Councilmember Armistead?
Thank you. I mean, just looking at it from an outside perspective, I also like option A, and I know the applicant said she didn't want to say anything, but I would be curious to know, did you guys present option A and they said, no, we don't like that, we'd rather do option B?
To recap what the discussion was during the planning commission meeting, they did come up to the podium. They did stress that they have issues with water runoff. So currently their existing driveway, when water runs down that driveway, it immediately goes into the driveway. They didn't want that same thing happening into the house. So if water were to run down option A, they didn't want their home to be flooded essentially.
Gotcha.
Or potentially be flooded.
I can see how that's an issue, although maybe that's something they could, you could work on that when you're redoing the.
Maybe install a drain or something to catch that water.
Yeah, I still think option A makes the most sense if there's a way to alleviate that drainage problem. That's it.
Councilmember Ray?
Yeah, thank you. And thank you guys for being here. Yeah, generally speaking, I think I prefer variances on what we would qualify as just there's no other workable solution. For that reason, I think I'm in favor of option A, but really stressing like withdraw the application, see if there's a way to make option A work. I think the concern about water running in towards your front door is a legit one. I would imagine there's probably some fairly low cost drainage solutions you can put in when you build out the driveway. But exploring that option, and then if they still feel there's too much of a hardship there, they're able to reapply. But I would rather have a non-variance option explored to the fullest extent prior to granting a variance and a second curb cut. So that's where I'm at with this one.
Right. Well, this is actually a public hearing. I think that also gives us an opportunity for the applicant, if she wants, or you know, the person with her wants, to feel free to come up and speak, because we're going to open it up to anyone wishing to speak in favor of a variance. They can have a total of up to 10 minutes to speak in favor. And you know, if you want to address any of the things that the council mentioned, it's your time to do that. That's fine.
Thank you. My English is not really good, so you help me.
Lo siento.
Not another problem. That one. So sorry because I not give you permit, you know, because I don't know nothing about the permit. So I put the concrete over there because anytime when rainy, the water go inside my house. So you see in the thing, I put the, you know, sand because anytime it go, the water go in my garage. So and then I try to do into the plan A, but it's the same because it dig and the water go anyway in home. So as that happen, my son said it's better in another side because the floor is more, you know, more like this, and that's the A is real deep.
Mm.
Well, what I'm trying to say is, if we moved, I mean, either or, left or right, I heard, I think it was Henshaw. Whether we move it to the left or the right, the issue is how steep it is, because that was, you know, the whole point. She has one vehicle, now we have two, because I've been helping her around the house. But, I mean, whether left or right, there's no way to get out of that driveway. You know what I mean? Because of how steep it is. Because the issue is the steepness, not that the driveway or we don't want to use it. The reason why she made the other, whatever, she just poured it, it was already existing when she bought the house, but it was gravel. And so when she would come out, you know what I mean? It would kind of slip whenever it rained, you know, the rocks would be, you know, all over the place. So she was like, well, let me pour the concrete. She didn't know that to pour the concrete, she needed a permit. That's where this issue comes in. As far as like, you mentioned like the 10 drainage or whatever, you know, 10-foot drainage. You know, like I explained to him, you know, I mean, we can destroy it, but that's going to leave your end exposed. That's going to leave that sewer drain exposed. I don't know how they're going to want to, you know, deal with that, but destroy it. As far as option A, like, you know, like I said, as far as the way that it's designed there, all the water would essentially go into the home and the garage now. It's already going into the garage now. So if the idea is for it to be safe and for it to be actually used and usable, option A, I mean, I don't see whether, again, left or right, how that would be made. The city actually, they did that curb thing, you know, whatever. They did that in front of the home because the water was just like, you know, like crazy before. Now it's a little less. So, you know, I mean, they did it to help. But I mean, we can't use the drive. I mean, there's just no way to use the driveway. I mean, you can tell by all the damage that is done. We've had trucks get stuck there where you have to get what is it called, a tow truck to pull the truck out because it's just hard. You know what I mean? It's just really, really bad. So that's why we proposed option B. It's not that we want the second curb cut. I mean, if we could turn it into dirt and then make this, you know, the second the first, I mean, that'd be great. But you know, the whole point is that we thought the second one, the option B, would be better because it's flat. That area of the house, I don't know how that's even possible, but it's flat. So it's just, you know, it seems a logical option for us and for, I'm assuming y'all, you know what I mean? As far as being compliant.
Would you guys be willing to pull out the driveway on the current driveway and replace it?
You know what I mean? I mean, again, we don't use it. We don't, it's not that we don't want to use it, it's that we can't use it. Because
I'm not supposed to talk to you, but that's a
yeah,
question.
no, I get it. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, we can't use it. There's no way, if we drive down the driveway, we're gonna be stuck there and then we're gonna have to, you know, deal with all the crap that comes with that. So, I mean, I think option B would be best. Looking at the home, I mean, you guys can see that it's steep. I mean, there's no other way, you know what I mean? It's actually steeper to the left.
Anything else?
No, I mean, that's the only issue that we have is just the water drainage.
Thank you. Gracias. All right, anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this variance? All right, we'll open up to anyone wishing to speak against, and I see a hand raised, so we'll pull him in. Allow him to talk. Tom, just state your name, where you live, and you can give up to 10 minutes.
Okay, Tom Hart, Gordon Heights. I feel for these people because that situation is a huge, huge problem in Oak Cliff Estates. I mean, those houses should never have been built in that hole like it is, but it is what it is. And there's definitely a water issue without a drain in front of that garage that's down at the bottom. The other thing that could be done is that to actually parallel park in front of the street on their property. In other words, use the existing curb cut and put a second curb cut in to put like a shallow, space in front of it, so the cars are parked parallel to that porch they have out front, and use the exit, the current driveway, and the entrance on the other side, and park on their property instead of trying to park toward the house, park parallel to the house, and wall it up on the street side and put a drain in it so that water doesn't affect the house anymore. It already has. But try to pull toward the house. You just don't have enough room between the street and still be on their property, without dealing with this elevation change, which is huge. But anyway, when we talk about sidewalks, we'll talk about Yeshiva High School at a separate date, but we got the same problem there. So I mean, these people really don't. The variance needs to be a separate curb cut and a parallel parking situation, and they're going to have to do something with the garage, that driveway, and put a drain down at the bottom. They also need a drain at the top of the hill, no matter what they do. A metal, heavy duty drain that puts this water around the house. And I just, the city needs to work with these people. You've got an unbuildable piece of property, basically, and this comes under the hardship variance laws, and need to do something that's a little more creative than what's going on here right now. Thanks.
All right, we're closing the public hearing. Albert, if they remove their current driveway, do they need a variance for the replacement?
No, if they remove the original curb cut, they will be in compliance if they want to build a new curb cut.
So this is my suggestion to you guys, because I think that in listening to you, and this is a rare case where I agree with the previous caller, I think that the water issues are pretty bad. They look bad. And I think that adding any concrete there is probably going to just make it worse. You might actually, if you pull up the existing, you may be able to do a little bit of work to try to steer it away from the house. Yeah, if you want to come up, feel free to come to the mic.
We were hoping that there was an option where maybe, maybe the city can help or something like that. Cause I'm not an architect. I don't know anything about that, but maybe we can move, have some type of structure built or something that'll kind of move the water away from the home. Cause right now, whenever it does rain, the last few days, it's been pretty rainy. The water just goes into the home. It just goes a lot less now. Cause I don't know if you can see, I don't even think she has it at this time when the pictures were taken, but she usually keeps sand,
kind of sandbags to,
you know what I'm saying? Just to avoid it and going, you know what I mean? So kind of limit the amount of water that goes into the garage. But like I said, we don't use the garage at all. You know what I mean? Because we have no way to use it. So the stuff that's inside, lawnmower and stuff like that, pulling it up.
Well, I think there's a few more comments up here, but my recommendation to you is going to be pull the request because I don't think you need a variance if you, sounds like you don't need a variance if you say, we're going to demolish the existing. And I think,
This is her property.
well, I think it's up to you, like to decide if you want to say, okay, we're going to build the other driveway, but we're going to remove this driveway. Yeah, let me finish first. And then, but that way it'll prevent you having to go through this process where they're going to put a requirement that you do it a certain way versus just do it the way you want to do it.
Viendo esa driveway, o sea, viendo el driveway, viendo como todo tira la grama, pasamos por aquí, después poniendo el driveway en el otro lado. Pero ahí podemos, maybe construir algo en el frente del garaje, como algo así, ¿te me entiendes? Para evitarlo. Yo no, lo va a hacer.
And my other suggestion to you guys is that if you remove, and Albert, correct me if I'm wrong, I think if you pull your variance request without prejudice, that means you can come back. Because if we say no, then you have to wait a year, right? 2 years. So if you go and say, hey, we want to go talk to a driveway guy, maybe a landscape expert, and they can help you with, some of the challenges with the land, I think you're going to be in a better position than being under the gun of the government saying, you gotta do it this way, and it's not really what you wanted.
This is my garage. I'm not even ashamed of my house is fine. So when you buy the house, I don't have nothing on my mind. I have problems with the water, so people not send me nothing. Then I'm driving. I'm driving now. So now is I have a car, because my car all the time is on the street. So going down the beach. The first, I have too many nerves. And the second, I'm smoke. And then when we go driving outside, I don't see the people coming, the way because I smoke. So many problems with me, right?
So that driveway doesn't work for you anyway.
Have problem for doing another driving. Stay on the tree. So I know how
It was on the side, side.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody here wants you to be able to park at your house. Like, they don't want you to have to park out because your driveway doesn't work for you. But you probably need a different, I think that driveway is no good regardless, right?
Me está preguntando si usted está dispuesta a destruirlo y hacer el otro driveway.
Me talking phone.
Yeah. This is a first read. So actually you don't have to make a decision tonight. You guys can go and check with anyone you want to. Council this can come back to council next month if you want it to. And
Well, she'll be out of the country next month.
if we do, like, can we postpone it till the month after? Yeah.
That'll give you time.
Yeah. So we can just say we'll defer this until August. But my suggestion is, if at all possible, you guys can go ahead and just,
Permit in order to destroy the.
you need a permit, but you may not need a,
We're asking now before we do.
yeah, you probably don't need a variance. So doing it just the regular way is way better than, the city council saying, okay, well, you have to put it exactly in this location, and you just have to work with Albert or his team, and they'll help you. But talk to your husband, talk to any other folks that that you want, but it does sound like that second driveway is what you want. And
Want to avoid the water going into. the
Yeah.
home. So that's why I was saying, I mean, even if there was an option, let's just say that option B was out of the way, but we still had an option to avoid the water. I mean, that'd be cool too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As long as we can use the driveway.
you want to be able to see out like and all that. Yeah.
That's what she's talking about is when she's coming out of the driveway, there's no sort of see,
It's too low. Yeah.
you know. so she's
Doesn't get
not
a big monster truck.
driving into whatever comes her way if it does.
All right. All right. That's our recommendation, but I think that's what we'll do. But Councilmember Simmons, you had something?
Yeah. Yes, thanks, Mayor. I was just gonna say when, about that option B, I would have been okay as long as we destroy the first driveway. But then I was looking at it, I was like, if you're gonna pour a driveway option B, it's a little smaller, but it's roughly the same distance as your current driveway. I understand the height. I don't know the topography on the right side, but it looks similar once you cut it in and all that stuff. I mean, whoever poured your driveway in the first place should not have a concrete license because it all slopes back. I know you bought the house after the fact, like it's not anything you did, but you can see it on this picture. It all slopes back into the right, and it falls in that corner. So if you're going to have to rip up your driveway, if you do option B and put the driveway on the right side, why don't you just rip up the driveway and re-pour it? Because you'll take off the pad, you'll redo your grade, you slope it to the left, it goes around the house. Your water will not fall into your garage. It will come down fast because it's a steep slope. And you still do have sort of the problem coming up over the crest of the curb, but that curb should be cut and swelled in because like it's per code that your water from your lot should go, it should go down in your lot, and then you have some that comes from the curb for the storm water. So that's why you're not really supposed to block it like it is. And I heard you say that the city helped pour it, so we'll talk. Yeah, that was before him. But anyway, I mean, that's the problem. So just look at that when you talk to your husband. If you do one on the right side, you're roughly pouring the same amount as on the left side, still can have your garage feasible. It's just right now, I can just see on that picture, it slopes back into the right towards the house when it should slope back into the left, so you're doing the same amount of work, roughly pouring the same amount of concrete, and you can have it in the same spot. So just something to think about on that. So that was all I wanted to say.
I was just going to suggest that we move this 2 months from now, and that gives you 2-month window to come to a decision. But that way you have up to, 1 month and 29 days before you can, withdraw without prejudice. Then you can always come back later. Or if you have to push it through, you can alter these documents as you need it, push it through that way. So don't withdraw it now, but make sure you set an alarm on your phone that says, if you need to withdraw it in the right amount of time. I would also suggest, and I have both of my houses that were in Doraville, my first house and now my current house, I had to put linear box drains at the bottom of my driveway because I'm still on the downhill side. And so it captures the water as it comes down the driveway, puts it in a box and shoots it out to the left. I have the same exact problem. So you can cut linear drains that are box drains that you can drive over, and that will also fix your problem. So you can re-pour, add those in. I actually have both a center drain that it pitches to and a box drain in front of that because I have so much water that collects. So, and I actually at one point, the reason I'm on council, I had 50 sandbags lining my yard. So I know exactly how this is, and I feel your pain. So yeah, just keep the variance in place until you don't need it or until you do, and then revise it exactly what you want. Don't hand draw it. Get it drawn, exactly what you want, and then come back to us. And, we're going to absolutely work with you as best we can. But yeah, or just buy a monster truck and then, you'll be able to see and you won't have to worry. So I think she'd look great in a big, lifted F-250.
She'll be scared.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Anyone else? All right. Thank you, Ms. Collado. We'll see you maybe in August. All right. Thank you. All right. Cecil, you're next. And Albert, maybe you guys can take it outside.
All right. And Mayor and Council, tonight, the next two items are related to the city center development. The first one is an amendment, a third amendment to the land swap agreement. We've seen this a few times before. And this is as we get further dialed in on understanding the costs related to the construction of City Center. As way of background, the land swap agreement came about as we realized we were going to have to vacate City Hall and the police department, and began determining what our options were for finding relocation sites for a temporary basis within the city of Dorville, looking at the costs associated with that, including procuring a lease and a build out that would house staff and police functions during that period. And as part of that, we settled and saw the property we're in, which is the Van Fleet property. It turned out that was owned by our development partner on the city center, who had gone through an RFP process. And a conversation was struck up discussing the idea that potentially the Van Fleet property could house the city, as we're doing right now, both the administrative and the PD. And that we could do that for a temporary basis while the construction was taking place, but also an agreement was put together that said, if the circumstances are correct, we may want to exchange these properties. So a portion of the City Hall site, where the City Hall, et cetera, 4-acre portion of there where City Hall, the library, et cetera, used to be, could be swapped for the Van Fleet parcel. The first land swap had several issues that were left as contingency fees. And one is we've always intended to have regional detention for the City Hall site, which we do. And the question became, if so, if we swap parcels, what would be the required tie-in fee to allow the old City Hall site to tie into the regional detention? Because that can be a substantial cost and also a substantial savings if you don't have to have on-site detention for a development. There was a contingency that the swap had to be of equal or greater value for the city, that the city would come out having no less than an equal exchange, and preferably a beneficial financially exchange for the city. And then the third issue really that was contingent out there was the fact that everyone's contemplating, as we see it happening now, that there was going to have to be a good bit of dirt coming from the old City Hall site, moving across to the new site to level up the parcels, and then removing dirt from a site is always a development issue. So those three issues were left on the table in the first land swap agreement. In the first amendment to the agreement, we came back and we had both parcels appraised, and it turned out that the condition was met, and it was met in a significant manner, that the valuations of the property conducted by an MAI appraiser were well in favor of the city, for the swap property being more valuable than the 4 undeveloped acres at the former City Hall site. In addition, in that time, we're still working through the grading and dirt issues, and we determined at that point that we would have a grading plan put together so we could evaluate how much dirt had to move from the old City Hall site to the new City Hall site, and we could determine how much we estimated would happen, and make sure that there was no, value exchange going between the properties with the dirt removal. That was the second amendment, or the first amendment, which sort of moved us forward on the appraisal. Came back to get a grading plan on the dirt. And in the second amendment, after we went and started talking to engineers about doing a analysis of the grading plan and then an estimation of how much dirt would be moving from the former City Hall site to the new City Hall site, learned that that would probably not be something that resulted in something you could tie a value to very well. So instead, in the second amendment, we came to an agreement that what we would do is come up with a cost sharing arrangement that basically said, that what we would do is evaluate the dirt that went across, and upon development of the land swap property, if they had to bring dirt in, then they would potentially get a municipal credit for any cost of the dirt they had to bring and fill dirt, because we had taken that dirt to improve our site across the street, as opposed we were trying to come up with what's the amount of dirt we can take, and then we'll have to bring dirt in. So we just said, if we take enough that during the development of the swap property, you end up importing dirt, there is a municipal credit that you can have for the cost of that dirt. Coming into the third land swap agreement, which is on the table tonight, both of those have been approved. Based upon the GMP and also based upon the analysis of the site, which takes all of the properties in the basin and it calculates the amount of flow into the stormwater structure and prorates it between the properties. So what they did is based upon the GMP, and this exhibit is attached in your packet, they determined that the appropriate cost for the connection of the land swap property, former City Hall, for the connectivity of the structure, the piping structure, as well as the prorational share of the vault would be little less than $700,000. And that's the cost that a developer would have to pay for that detention coming off the site. So in this third amendment of the land swap agreement, we state that they are able to connect, and at time of that connection, when they begin using the vault, they will owe the city $700,000 or the lesser of the actual cost, but $700,000 for that connectivity. Second is it states that in the future regarding the vault and the stormwater infrastructure, that maintenance and repair would be shared by that property in their pro rata share. So probably you're going to have to muck this facility periodically, and that property would be apportioned its share based upon the pro rata amount of water it puts into the vault. And third, just a provision that says you can't bring any more water onto your site than is already coming in at the time of the agreement. It solves some issues. It puts some numbers to an issue that has been hanging out, which is the $700,000 at the time that property begins utilizing the facility, sets up the rules about the the maintenance and repair of the facility in relation to the burden on that property, and just make sure that the water flow does not exceed. The stormwater analysis basically takes each property and considers it as fully developed, full runoff. So it says, and it's considering full runoff, impervious runoff into the vault across each of the properties, and then it apportions an amount based upon the square footage of the property. Does that make sense? And let me answer any questions on that, because by the approval of this, we will authorize, well, that is being built as part of the project. It will set up the process that when the land swap property is developed, when they connect, they pay the city $700,000.
Are you okay with maybe doing H and I together, and then we can vote on them separately, but that way
absolutely
council can ask you all their questions at one time?
And that is it's a good suggestion because they do cross over to some extent. I is the declaration of covenants. So as I'm sure everyone's aware, when you do a development like this, multi-parcels, you'll put some covenants in place, especially if you consider that there will be a separation of the parcels or some potential subdivision and selling off of the parcels in the future. In this situation, the city controls all of the properties that are subject to the declarations. Therefore, we come through and we have a relatively simple set of declarations. It creates cross easements for stormwater. It creates, again, for the pond and the use of the vault, how you would calculate that to each of the properties as we divided them off in the future. A very standard set of sort of how these are all going to function together as a unit, even if we break them off, because the new subdivided properties would be subject to the same rules. In addition, there is also a provision that says there are certain unacceptable uses for those properties, which would include adult entertainment uses, adult bookstore uses, laundry facilities, not drop-offs, but a laundry plant, et cetera. So when if approved with the declarations, what we would do is go and record those with all of the properties that the city owns that would become subject to the declarations. The reason we can go with a relatively simple set is because we own all the properties. So if we do decide to carve off a parcel and sell it through if it goes through one of our agencies, DDA, someone like that, via the real estate contract, we have the ability to put any restrictions on it at that point. So we will have a lot of authority in that transaction to make sure it's tailored to any needs we have at that time. And we would know that better at that time because we would be contemplating a sale and knowing exactly what we want to be happening there. Maybe a hotel site, you would come through, carve that out. You'd say, yeah, here are your basic declarations, but guess what? All these other conditions will apply to the sale. So with both of these, it will pretty much finalize all the conditions of the land swap. And it would set up some basic declarations that will govern the operation of all the properties together and bind them if we determine to separate parcels and sell them in the future.
All right, great. Councilmember Armistead, do you have any questions on either of these items?
Just one question. You said that the calculation about the water runoff was based on envisioning that plot fully developed. And I'm just wondering what are we envisioning is going to be on that site?
Right now, I mean, everything is still open. I mean, what have we planned? We know we have the city center site with the pad in the four corners. The land swap agreement contemplates that this would be a multifamily development on the land swap. There is a provision that states if we allowed a multifamily on the parcel that's at the corner of Park and New Peachtree, then this would not have to be multifamily, but right now it is contemplated as multifamily. It would release them from that obligation if we allowed another multifamily. But the study was done by a stormwater engineer. It was approved by MPS, also signed off on it. It's under seal by, I think, Boggs, if I'm correct, the engineer. And basically the way they did it, because you really don't know what's there in their future, they assumed full impervious surface on every parcel. So as if you fully paved every parcel, all that water's running into the vault. How much does each one generate? And then they apportion a certain amount for each one.
Kind of worst case scenario then, or most dense case scenario, not necessarily worse.
Yes, and we have sized our vault to accommodate that. And importantly, the analysis includes two parcels that we don't have. One is the old post office property because it comes into the basin, the church property, which comes into the basin, as well as a portion of the property up on the hill because it comes into the basin. So they have all been factored in for that water coming into the vault. At this time, there's no agreement in place for them to tie into the vault. So theoretically, we would have some.
Or future development.
Right. There is the capacity on it. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember Ray?
No further questions. Thank you for the explanation.
Councilmember Dasser?
I have one question. So I know it's going to be multifamily, right?
It is right now. It is yes.
Right. What about the rest of the property? Is going to be rest of the property is going to be multifamily, or there's
the particular land swap property is contemplated for a multifamily development. It is subject to zoning, so there would be, I think the final plans would be determined pursuant to the zoning because it doesn't exempt them from any of our rules as far as what the multifamily would have to meet as far as the
You're
construction.
asking about the other buildings on the
Oh, everything else.
yeah, whole area.
At this point, that's really still in the discretion of the council because some of the properties are undeveloped and I don't think those decisions have been made yet.
I think there's been discussion about like hotel.
Because I know I wasn't here back in those days.
Yeah,
when
I
we
think
discussed
that
it.
the high level ideas were trying to get a hotel there, parking deck, the restaurants around the park.
So we know we have City Hall with the City Hall and pad sites. Up here, multifamily in the old City Hall site. The big one that I think is sort of the mayor mentioned is at the corner of New Peachtree and Park. That's there's a thought that one day could be a hotel site potentially because it's also set up for raised parking, which could, and this is all, I think, down the road visioning. There could be a parking deck and some sort of an agreement that allowed some parking for us in that deck as well that would serve the city center property. All TBD as we're moving forward.
I wish we could have bought the Salvation Army property, it would have been nice, but. And or old GM, I think I would say that's the
Union Hall.
Yeah, Union Hall. I wish our DDA can buy it at least for other exploration. But
Yep.
but thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Henshaw.
Just the fee of $700,000 was based on a percentage of the volume of the overall vault, which I'm assuming it was then based on the construction cost of the vault as well as the fees to the cost to tie in.
Mhm.
I would say, is there a way to add in a small multiplier as, you know, if they acquire the property this year, $700,000 makes sense. But if they acquire the property and do it 3 years from now, there's going to be an increased cost to tie in potentially.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. So I was just want to make sure that we don't cap ourselves at that 700, or that if we do cap it, that we just add maybe a 3% inflation factor for each year as the max cap. And then we go with the real value anyway. But I would hate for them to come back and go, well, it's now $950,000, but the cap's 700. So the city's going to eat,
Well,
$250,000.
we're building the infrastructure now. All the infrastructure is being built as part of the current project.
But the
As part of-
connections aren't.
I think we are
Are we really?
taking it to the property. Mhm.
That's interesting.
Because I think we're doing it on all of them.
I thought we would just be piping it to outside of our footprint and then let them have to pipe the rest of the way. Because I know we don't want to have the infrastructure. We're going to pipe it to the corner of the property. That way they can tie in. That way they don't have to go back and, okay, I understand
Believe
that.
it's in the
So
GMP.
that makes sense.
99% sure.
It does. It does. I just,
Pipe goes up to the property line as well as the.
so we won't absorb any cost if they have to extend the connection 300 feet along their property. That's going to be 100% on them. Is that correct?
Bring the connection to the property.
It's the property line and then they're responsible for connecting in there. Then
But they have the right to come in, connect up.
perfectly happy to that. That's great. Thank you. That was it.
Councilmember Evans.
Thank you. I guess the one concern that comes to mind, because you touched on ownership a little bit, like in the future, parcels can change possibly. How does that affect public access? And are there any protections in there to say, since it's in the corridor, that there still has to be some type of public access versus private property?
With the land swap property, it would be private. It would be just like any multifamily development that's around. We did not reserve, and I've seen it where you come through and you reserve rights away. But really with our overarching plan, there is nothing that we would be taking any sort of interparcel access between that because we've laid out the grid with Park Avenue and then the grid or the roads around the city center. This would be just on that former site up there with City Hall, et cetera, sort of everything north of New Peachtree, Park Avenue right there. So there's no real access we would typically take through that property.
And that would include with that mixed use potentially, if there's a retail on the first floor,
That would all be dealt with as part of the zoning and the approval, the plat approval, and they'd have to meet, we would get it zoned, and then they'd have to meet all of the development regs as well. So that's when you would catch all the development regs, making them have adequate parking for those facilities, et cetera.
Gotcha. And then the shared responsibilities, it made me think about Assembly, that some of the streets and the curb cuts and all of that stuff we have access to, but they handle all the maintenance.
And this one's a little different because all the streets in this area, and let's think about the declarations, because we're doing declarations, very wide declarations for all the parcels we have that are in addition to this. Those are all going to be our streets.
But when it becomes trash, landscaping, utility costs, how is that shared? Is that spelled out in here?
Landscaping is included in the declarations. And that's a portion between the properties that are subject to the declarations, which are everything the city owns plus the DDA pad sites. So that's already, there's a landscaping and maintenance provision, and these are really basic. It's not, if you remember post properties and they're beautiful. This is basically says the landscaping will be maintained and the cost will be apportioned by X, Y, and Z. We kept it simple because let's say we do end up having a hotel site go in. At that time, we have the ability by virtue of the sale of the property to put about any conditions we want onto it that we can negotiate into the deal.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember Simmons.
Thanks, Mayor. First of all, I just want to say this is a great presentation by you, Cecil. I think it was the most clearest one by a lawyer I've seen in a while. Not a lot of questions. So
I need to sit down.
good job. Good job. And I really didn't have really any questions other than, so when the stormwater engineer did the valuation of 700,000 in the vault and all that stuff, when was that?
At the
Recently?
point of the GMP.
Okay.
It's part.
Okay, so it did coincide.
Yes, that's why we're doing it now.
That's what,
Because when we got the GMP, suddenly we could tie a number to it. We had always had the prorated amounts based upon the stormwater volume going into the vault.
and the GMP or the price for the vault and all that stuff, that cost there were no changes, no change orders, no additions, any unforeseen conditions since we've started working over there to tie it.
My understanding is that is being locked down and it is locked down.
So that's why I'm making
I
sure.
think that is an excellent question. Before I put a signature on this, I will verify that, but my
Yeah.
understanding is that
I mean, if it goes down, don't worry about it. Leave it at 700. If it goes up, yeah,
if it goes down, I'm sure that's contemplated. That's an excellent question. Let me,
just make sure that was
it
it.
is my understanding that that is our cost.
'Cause Yeah, because the last presentation we saw about they're about to start work on that here real soon.
The vault's going.
Yeah, the vault's getting delivered and working on it. So
It's currently going in and we're gonna, yeah. So this one's getting there. It'll be
Uh-huh.
done soon.
other than that, no, thank you.
What are the next amendments that council can expect from you on
the land
this?
swap agreement?
Yeah.
At this point, all conditions are met and really it's just moving to closing and the outside date of closing. You know, a lot of that has to do with the occupancy of this building. We have the leases go for 3-year terms. I can say there's still a lot of moving parts and it's potential that, you know, as we work through the rest of the issues on this, we may, have an earlier occupancy, but all that just does is moves the closing date, when the closing date would be. And the closing dates are defined in the land swap agreement as outside dates. And really, we would come back to council on it, but it's contemplated in the agreement that at such time, everybody pretty much has a meeting of the minds, the closing would be able to move forward. So all that would come back to you, but I don't know that would be an amendment to the land swap agreement off the top of my head right now.
Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion regarding item H?
I'll make a motion to approve the third amendment to land swap agreement as presented by Cecil. Do I need to make a little note or amendment that you're going to double check the cost?
Yeah, as subject to there being no material change in the cost
Of the vault and
of
connections.
the infrastructure that's the cost of the infrastructure that is part of the assumption.
What Cecil said.
All right, do you have a second?
I'll second.
All right, discussion?
Okay, what Cecil said.
Cecil said,
Okay.
here we go.
Uh,
What did I say?
Oh, good.
What we said is basically conditioned upon that the cost.
All right, with the condition upon the cost being unchanged as priced at the time with the GMP.
Correct.
I mean, we've done it before that way with accepting what you said. So I think that it's in the record.
A little informal.
Yeah.
Just wanted to be sure.
All right, Councilmember Simmons,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans,
Yes.
Councilmember Henshaw,
Yes.
Councilmember Nasser,
Yes.
Councilmember Ray,
Yes.
Councilmember Armistead.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. And for consideration of the approval of the declaration of the easements and restrictive covenants for the city center properties.
I'll make a motion to approve the declaration of easements and restrictive covenants for the city center properties.
Second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Discussion. All right, I'll call the roll. Councilmember Henshaw,
Yes.
Councilmember Nasser,
Yes.
Councilmember Armistead,
Yes.
Councilmember Ray,
Yes.
Councilmember Evans, Councilmember Simmons.
Yes.
Great.
Thank
Motion passes. And we have an item from Chris LaFleur before our executive session this evening.
All right, good evening, everyone. This should be quick. So I'm just here to give you guys just a quick update on our efforts on the utility box public art projects that we're trying to get underway. So what you guys see before you here, this is just a map. It's not 100% complete, but it just to give everybody an idea of the locations of some of the utility boxes that we have throughout the city. The vast majority of these boxes are traffic signal boxes and AT&T boxes. We did identify a couple. I think they're like the DeKalb County plumbing boxes. We still need to verify some of that stuff. But in conversations that we've had with DeKalb County in regard to the traffic signal boxes, and that's the one that you see at the top left, their position is that that infrastructure is essentially ours. So we could pretty much do whatever it is that we would like to do to those boxes. There was a caveat about us being careful in terms of the type of paint that we use, just because it can kind of overheat the boxes. So that's something to keep in mind. Additionally, the AT&T boxes, we do have a contact that we were able to reach out to, and our request is being evaluated. So that's good news on those. So essentially, we could start moving forward with this project at your direction, but in terms of staff, we do just have one bit of a recommendation. A lot of the utility boxes, the traffic signal ones, they really aren't in terrible shape. Like they look decent. The ones that we'd like to really hit hard once we're able to have the appropriate funding are the AT&T boxes. Those are the ones that you see everywhere else. So I just wanted to share that with you all, and let me know if you have any questions.
Well, I mean, I think council talked about this, pretty extensively a month or two ago. And even if AT&T says, no, you can't do anything, if we could ask our contact to please paint them one color, that would be nice. But it would be nice if they would let us do it. I would like to see us start. I don't really care where we start. I would just like us to have a plan where we kind of get started on it. I know the Art Commission has looked at it and maybe could run with some of this in terms of, nominating artists and designs that the council could then approve like we do with the murals. But, I think this is great news. I appreciate you doing the research on it. Councilmember Ray?
Yeah, I'm in favor of us getting started as soon as we can. Thanks for putting this together. No other comments.
Councilmember Armistead?
Agreed. I would love to see one get going as soon as we can.
Councilmember Henshaw?
How dare we put more graffiti in this city? Will DART have any involvement in this? Perhaps for art?
Majira?
Majira, jump in.
For this year, we have only designated money for one of them. I don't think DART will be involved in this one. We wanted to use an artist. We have a list of artists that apply already for the mural. We can see the ones that were not selected and check it out with them if they are interested. So probably won't take it too long since it's one. One of the things that we learned in the process is that other cities, they go with a project that involve more than from 5 to 25. So it's kind of like cohesive, that they have a team in common, and it's not like a one random idea to the other. Because we decide we only have for this year this amount of money, we can think about the topic and involve more for the next year, or we just can start with one. It's a very great idea that AT&T, that are the ones that are terrible, there are, at least we find very hardly we find a contact that is reviewing now the request.
Thank you. What's the cost approximate per?
Average is like 20,000. Excuse me, 2,000. I'm sorry.
That seems high.
Is that
2,000.
pay the artist also?
No, for painting and the artist, yes.
No, 2,000 for the artist and the painting.
Yeah,
together.
And
involve painting and everything.
we had looked at, we had talked in the past about wraps as well.
Yeah.
Is that still an option, or?
Wraps are more expensive because then you have to pay the artist, and then
Yeah.
I got some pricing on that.
So in terms of the wraps, so the pricing, it varies. So if you're, let me back up. let's say we were to come up with a design. If you guys came up with a design and we say, hey, we have a design, let's get somebody to wrap it. That's a lot easier, a lot quicker, a lot cheaper. If we say, hey, we want an artist to come up with a design, we have to pay that artist, and then you have to take that to a wrap shop, and now you're paying more. So it really just depends on how we want to do it. If we want to do a wrap, I would say we use our creative minds, come up with a design, and we do that. If we want to use artists, I would lean towards paint.
Is there any benefit to a wrap, in your opinion?
Yeah, you could remove it if you don't like it over time. A lot easier to keep clean. We've seen them around in some other cities. I haven't seen any of them get tagged. But yeah, if you want to take it off, you just take it off and we start fresh. And
Could you just get us some pricing on what a wrap might cost for an average box?
it's about
$2
it's about the same, $2,000.
$2,000.
Yeah, I mean, it's
That's
all
the
the same
standardized
ballpark.
design that.
Right.
Whatever design.
Or is with a provided design, whether it's standard, you could have AI create 40 different versions of a similar something. And
Yes.
then, yeah, so you don't necessarily need an artist. Not that I think AR's art, please don't, Dart, please don't, come at me for that.
Yeah, I was
Um,
going to mention that one of the things for this project is also to involve the artists and give also opportunities to them to be creative, I think so.
Okay, I know that there's at one point in time, there was talk about using student artwork from the local schools, blowing that up and having that installed potentially on these, in which case we have the artists and then it's just the cost of the wrap.
Right.
Or manipulating that. And I'm sure that there are people out there who could be volunteering. So we might be able to find a mixture of both, artists as well as, student art that might be able to do that. But I'd like to look at both painting and wrapping, especially if wrapping winds up being a little bit more, weathers the maintenance a little bit better and weathers the weather a little bit better. Thanks.
Councilmember Nasser? Thanks. Councilmember Simmons?
Thanks, Mayor. No, I'm all for wrapping. I got some pricing on it, and the guy it's $25 a square foot. And if you look at that, like it's a 3x6 for the traffic one, which is fairly tall compared to the AT&T. It's $2,000, and that's at his regular price. I could probably get him down to $20 or $15 a square foot, and then multiple. And that's for a wrap for any design we can pick. We can have, marketing or anyone send some designs in. We could do a contest and have people send in their designs to go on the wrap, which would be free. Not trying to exclude artists, but I'm all in favor of the wrap because you could also have it perforated. I heard LaFleur talk about paint overheating. And if you have it perforated, it lets it breathe. It won't overheat the box. If something happens to it, they don't like it, you can take it off. It's real easy. You want to change the design. And obviously, we're looking at, possibly giving our homestead exemption from 2.5 to 3. That was what, $100,000 savings in the valuation, the budget or taxes. So obviously, we have this year that could be $100,000 with $2,000 a box. You're at 50 boxes right there, and then we could see what kind of how bad it hurts not having that 100,000. And sort of eat that. I'm just saying that's 50 boxes right there for at least, and that's just my take on it. I'm all for the wrap. I think it's the most economic feasible one. I think it's durability wise. If we want to change something, I don't think it's going to mess up the box. I don't know. It just sounds good to me, but I'm just one of 7. So,
Councilmember Evans?
Well, thanks for the research on this. Remind me again, which one did you mention were the cabs that said it's
Top
basically
left.
ours?
Top left. So essentially, almost any traffic signal light, there's going to be a box somewhere in there.
I'm in favor of starting there since there's no pushback and we don't have to wait on AT&T or any of the providers to get permission. If they basically said, go for it, let's go for it. And since they're in heavy traffic areas anyway with corridors, but whether that's wrap or vinyl or paint, that's fine with me. I don't know if we need 50, but let's start with some and see how that works. I don't
And to Majira's point, what she was mentioning before, some of the other cities, what they'll like to do is kind of create a theme. So an example could be, I don't know, Park Avenue or I'm sorry, New Peachtree Road. If we wanted to do some sort of theme for that corridor, Buford Highway can have a theme. There's just different ways to think about it, and that's what.
It's a great project to have some fun with. So great, thank you.
All right. So it sounds like we're good with moving forward. From what I heard, probably especially given that Public Works is recommending a wrap. We probably should look at wraps. However, I'm a little concerned by some of the comments about like just get some kids to draw some art or, just submitting stuff. We have an art commission. We're supposed to be using them to make recommendations about the artistic nature of stuff. I don't, we're all very smart at different things, but we selected those people to recommend, like these artistic things. I think it's great, Majira, to start with, what one is a starting point, but budget committee, this is another thing to really look at. But I think that maybe Majira, if you can go back to the art commission and you guys can talk about what could a program look like? What do you think is doable for you all? And what do you want to recommend to the budget committee to try to, see, what they want to put in for council? So I think one is not enough, like long-term, like it can be a starting point, but the budget, we're going to vote on that in just a few months. So after that, we'll be able to move forward with some more and maybe get, the first one under the belt. So I think this is a good starting point, and we can see how it goes and iterate. But I would love to see real artists work, not not stuff that we're just pulling from the web or whatever. And that's why we have an art commission to help us with this stuff. So thank you both for looking into this, and I'm looking forward to seeing the fruits of it. Oh, Mr. Ray.
Since I'm on the budget committee, I was just going to ask both of you. Chris, I know bulk discounts don't really happen anymore, but if a wrap shop's like, oh yeah, if you're doing 20, we can knock off $250 per wrap or something, that would be good information. And then Majira, when you talk with the art committee, coming up with a figure that we think is fair and would draw artists who are interested in doing this so that we can kind of work that into what would the total cost of a box be. And then, maybe we don't do all, how many do we have on there? All 50 plus in 1 year, but it at least gets us an idea of like, let's try to hit 10 a year and build on that or whatever, but it would help with the plan. So cost of what we think would be fair to pay an artist for this. And then additionally, 2,000 sounds like the number, but if there is some sort of break rate at 20 or whatever. So thank you.
Yeah. The budget committee might hear what you say and say, oh, we want to do half of that, but at least you go with your presentation and then, they can evaluate like what they think makes sense.
I just had one comment. Last
What's in it currently? There you go.
Okay, cool.
This for movies is only 27. And this is for the movies income is only 27,000. And one of the things is like for the new People's Building, it will be to have a good art there. So that's what they
Also trying to save the money for them. Well, let's come to council with the suggestions, come to China. I think we need to also look at what it's going to be for the People's Building, but we also will have, and maybe we need a budget for that in this budget process too. So that might be something else for you guys to make a recommendation about. All right, great. Thank you very much. So council, we have a executive session this evening, but we are going to do council comments first. Why don't we start with Councilmember Ray? We'll just come this way.
Yeah, thank you. Not a lot to talk about today. I just want to go back to that first public comment we got, the positive feedback from a resident in the annexed area. And just give our staff a shout out. Thank you all for the job you do. I think we really are building an awesome city and community here and improving it. But it's really good to get that positive feedback and to know that the hard work is paying off and we're not even really halfway there to what I think the vision of this place is. So please keep up the good work and thank you all very much.
Thank you. Councilmember Simmons.
Thanks, Mayor. It's really good to see all our roads starting to get repaved. So that's really nice to see. But I was just gonna give a shout out for FIFA. You know, obviously that's going on. You have the viewing parties at Assembly. They have one down at Centennial Park. I hear excitement from everyone going, that it's awesome to go see. The whole atmosphere down there in downtown, because I work downtown, is awesome and it's electric. So if you can go out and go to some of these viewing parties, you do have to get a ticket at Assembly, but it is free to go to. So it's really, really cool to go join and celebrate and have fun with some other people right now watching FIFA. So go out and check it out. It's awesome. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Nasser.
Well, I would like to thank you, everyone, for watching and listening, and those who are present. I would like to say someone actually wrote an email to me as of a few minutes ago that I have voted to raise your tax. I did not. I'm the only council member who voted no, because I would like to see it from 8.75%. So I appreciate it for your email, whoever sent it. Thank you so much, but I did not vote to raise your taxes. Second thing is July 13 is the deadline for homestead exemption. If you didn't do it, please do it. Please apply DeKalb tax door. I believe it's DeKalb County tax door tax.gov, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sure you'll be able to find it. Thank you so much.
Councilmember Henshaw.
You don't want to go? You go last. Sorry for, hopefully being good stewards, not sorry for being good stewards. Hopefully we're very good stewards of your tax dollars. I know that's frustrating, but we're making the decisions as best we can. We're your neighbors, not some crazy nebulous, federal level political people that you don't get to see. So feel free to be mad at us, but don't take it out on our spouses and our kids and our dogs. I would also like to just say that there's apparently a very, very potentially heavy rainstorm coming through. So just sort of batten down the hatches, just check your house, clean your gutters, make sure your drain lines are ready and clear. Bring anything inside. I've been caught on my roof cleaning my gutters out in rainstorms multiple times in the past. So learn from my mistakes and just stay safe. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Evans.
Just thank you to our staff for being here, staying late. And there's also an indoor watch party, official watch party by FIFA at the Eagles Arena, just off of New Peachtree and Beaufort Highway. They're actually showing all the games. I drove by last night and it was packed. So there's a lot of people enjoying it. There's food trucks, a lot of good time to have fun indoors and watch the games.
Councilmember.
Tickets.
Sorry. Councilmember Armistead.
Thank you. I just wanted to address an earlier comment again. I think I've said this in the past, but the drainage improvements on McClave Drive were planned and voted on long before I was on council, just for the record. And on a more positive note, I want to wish my husband Eugene a happy birthday if he's still listening, which he probably is because he's one of our most loyal listeners. So I love you and I'm sorry we're not out doing something fun.
Happy birthday, Eugene.
Happy birthday, Eugene.
We love you.
EJ's gotten mad at me for being at council meetings too on his birthday. All right. Mejuri, do you mind coming up really quick? Speaking of FIFA, Doraville does have a program going on, and I'll let you speak about it first.
So in order to celebrate the games during the summer and also to help the business to have a more traffic and bring more, we create this rally of pins where 9 different artists participate. Original was 10, but one dropped it. And they create original art that was in a pin, and 9 different restaurants and entertaining centers cover the production of them and some of the materials for the campaign. And they are available. Some of them already are gone. This is a limited edition of 1 of 100 per each pin. And In Arena, every business put a promotion, and you can see in the website, and you go there and you look at what is the pin and what restaurant and what you need to do to obtain one. They already have it. The restaurants are very happy with their result. They just asked me for more cards to print. So I think it has been great because, again, we are helping local artists to have a way that present the art. And it's been a creative idea to how to involve the business during these games.
So I want to encourage anyone listening to go to those restaurants and collect the pins. And the pins, are they available for free, or how do they get them?
No, if you go to the website that you see in our social media, we have posted the link on the website. You can see the restaurants and the pins and what you need to do to get there.
Okay. Well, so just so you know, the restaurants are Kampai Barbecue, Te Amo, and Lao She Xuan. That's one. Paris Banh Mi, Postern Coffee, Exhibition Hub, Swirl Crepe, the Atlanta Eagles Arena. So if you go watch the game, Minwa Spirits just next door, Kamayan, ATL, Taqueria El Rey del Taco, and I think that's it. So yeah, I think it's a great opportunity to collect, get some collector's items from this FIFA time. And I know there's a lot of excitement, and I tried to park at the Doraville station the other day and it was completely closed. So so a lot of excitement.
And if you go to the social media or our website, communication put it there, all of the material. So also the poster and the image that you will see was created by Emily, and we still, the whole rally will run from June 8th to July 31st or until there's extinguished. So.
All right, great. Thank you so much. And with that, I want to see if anyone would like to make a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel, litigation, real estate, or cybersecurity matters.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and we are going to wait till we come back to adjourn, but when we do, it'll be off camera, but there will be no other business. We don't expect action will be taken.